Hello, 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 and welcome back. Welcome back to the Bada Bin. It's been a while. I am
Mm-hmm.
Dave, and down there in the bottom square is Shadow Stevens, aka Chris. Chris, how are
Hey,
you,
hey.
man? It's so good to see you. We've been shooting the
No,
breeze a
back
little
at you.
bit before we hopped on live, and it's wonderful to see your beautiful face and hear that smooth voice of yours again. And now here we are
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube for the masses. So, what's crack-a-lackin', man?
Oh boy, this was the summer of my discontent.
Oh boy.
It's great to be here. I've been very nervous about doing much of
Uh
anything,
huh.
so I haven't. um, but it's great to see you. It's great to chat with you, and it's great to be back here and hopefully reunite with some of our pals. Um, a few of our pals have reached out over the past few months. It's been nice, people checking in. Um, and I would respond to them very euphemistically uh, about things going on in real life here. And it's kind of on brand for me to be a little too open and share a little too
Sure.
much on the air. But at the risk of doing that again, I suppose I could. Um, this has been the probably the worst few months of my life. Um, and in those worst 3 months were the worst handful of days of my
Mm-hmm.
life. Um, yeah, I don't know how precious I want to get here, but something we've talked about on the air, not very often, but we've mentioned it. You and I have a lot of things in common. One of the things we have in common is pretty unique in that we are both pod widows.
Yes, indeed.
We have both lost our pod partner, and I say this not looking for any pity and not looking for any sort of anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I almost made you a two-time
Not cool, man.
Podwit. No, not cool at all. Not cool at all. It wasn't good. It was not a good few months. A few days there were. Yeah, I think when I reached back out to you, I said it's been touch and go,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that, and I take no pride in that. I know on the internet, things like mental illness are kind of like what make us special. This don't make you special. This sucks. This ain't pleasant. This ain't nothing I want to hang a hat on. This ain't nothing I want to like define myself as.
Right.
It's not something you'd wish on anybody. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and sometimes those chickens come home to roost. And when they do, you really find out what you're made of, or what you're not made of. And you got to make some changes. And there's one very, very easy change you can make.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very easy. Stupidly easy. But then there's the way to do it the right way, and it's a lot harder, and it takes a lot more character. And I've never claimed that I have a whole lot of character, but you take the hard road sometimes, and the hard road is, in reality, it's the only road. So that's where I've been. It's been a lot of darkness, a lot of black, and we're still not out of the woods yet, but it's a lot better.
Right on.
It's a lot better than it was because it was. I mean, it was seconds away, literal seconds away.
Well,
But it's all good.
well, it's not all
Not all
good.
good,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's
But you're
but
here.
it's
That's the important thing.
relatively speaking,
Right.
it's all good. It's better than it was, especially over the course of those few
Mm-hmm.
days. Which, God, I would relive many, many bad things in my life. I would not want to. I would relive many bad things in my life hundreds of times over before I relive those days
Mm-hmm.
again, because there was no hope. There was no light. lost. Oh, I was a razor's edge from losing everything, and then some. So, yeah,
Yeah, but
we're at the other end, kinda.
right. Well, thank
Um,
goodness. I mean,
yeah.
you're here now with us, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm sure anybody watching appreciates the honesty and the
Yeah.
candor and everything else like that. As far as you being raw and open, and I'm sure
Sure,
I can
sure. Yeah, I mean,
speak
because
for everybody to say we're so happy that you're on this side. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, I wanted to start by like apologizing to everybody, but I especially wanted to apologize to you,
get out of here.
because I mean, I love you. I mean, you reached out to me, and I pushed away, like I always do when I'm in that kind of frame of mind. And I had a few other friends who were reaching out, and I pushed them away, and I sugarcoated things like, I'm not feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just gotta get my head straight. Which could mean a lot of different
Right.
things. But never really saying one way or another what everything was, and how razor thin things are, lines between one thing and another, and you take inventory, and sometimes when you take inventory, it's like a cartoon scroll. Like a wizard holding a scroll, and they let it go, and it bounces, bounces,
Mm-hmm.
bounces, hits a staircase, rolls
Sure.
down, keeps going infinitely. And on that scroll is all the shit you did or all the shit you didn't
Mm-hmm.
do that you should have done. And when you take that in sum, that's a lot. Um, yeah, I haven't been the best person. I haven't been the best partner. I haven't been the best husband. I haven't been the best anything. And when you see that all laid out, because when you take things piecemeal,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to
Sure.
swallow it. It's like, I messed up. I did something like that. Okay, whatever. Forget it. Push it down. But when you see that scroll with everything on it, and that scroll, every time it bounces and unrolls, it weighs another ton. And then it finally comes to rest on your chest, and it's all you've got.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's heavy, man.
it's hard. It's hard to take. Yeah, it's hard to take. And there's an easy way to deal with it, and there's a hard way to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the hard route is the right route.
Damn right it
So
is.
that's been the past several months. It's been the hardest I've ever worked. It's been the hardest I've ever processed. Because I think we tell ourselves things to sugarcoat, even to ourselves. I've not always been the most honest person, but I think the person I've been least honest with is myself.
Sure.
Because you can tell yourself anything. You can convince yourself of anything when you want to believe certain things. But when it comes crashing down, it's you can either keep lying or you gotta come around, and that's been it. That's been it. So unfortunately, on top of all the other shit, comics really haven't been a priority.
Yeah, yeah, I dig. I get it.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. I remember when we were talking and you were kind of going into your slump or your funk there.
Mm.
Your disinterest in comics was alarming to me. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah,
something we always talked about. It was whether good or bad, whether we
sure,
were
sure.
crapping on him or praising him, whatever the case may be. It was like, all right, that's always been like the main thread of our conversations. And when you were like,
Yeah,
enough is
yeah. It
enough,
was
I
a
can't even discuss these things anymore. I'm like, uh oh.
no, it was a throughway for us, and yeah, because I think our friend Chris, you would call this serendipity. That was a word that I was searching for months ago.
Uh,
I'm like, I don't know what it means when this happens and this happens at the same time. And he's like, I think the word is
yeah.
serendipity. It's like, hey, why didn't I know? Um, but it was a very serendipitous weekend. and we were going to record the following week.
Mm-hmm.
And two things happened that weekend that turned me off. And I suppose we could jump into that.
Sure.
It doesn't have anything to. I might have something to do with my depression or whatever the hell it was. But it was a serendipitous weekend in that on that Friday I went to the record store like I would usually do,
Mm-hmm.
every now and again, and I decided to take a look at their clearance bookshelf. And I very seldom do that because it's usually the same handful of books. It's usually like there's like 15 copies of The Walking Dead Volume 1 there that people bought and
Right.
returned. A lot of Image Volume 1s wind up there because those are so
Mm-hmm.
cheap. Those are priced ridiculously well. Like I think like the first saga is like 6 issues and it's 10
Right.
bucks, which is like sign
Yeah,
me up.
exactly.
Okay, that's a lot of damn
Yeah, they're
comic.
still doing that now.
I believe
Yeah.
it. I believe it because I know like Paper Girls and Walking
Mm-hmm.
Dead, all the like Invincible, and those are the ones that always show up there because I think it's just such a huge buy-in. It's so easy for people to take that
Right.
chance on something so inexpensive, and then they get through it, and then they realize, oh wait a minute, this isn't going to be worth anything. The comics are, not the trade, so they
Yeah.
return it or they
Right.
sell it and trade it in. So usually it's stuff like that, but I found this one book that I've seen before in the wild, very seldom because it is more ephemera than actual comic. It's actually completely
Mm-hmm.
ephemera. And it's funny because when I got this thing home, I paid $10 for it, but they kept pricing this thing down. Like as I'm peeling off price tags, there's more price tags underneath it. I think a lot of us, when we go to the bins, we see that
Yeah, sure.
sometimes. It's like you buy something for $5 and then you're like, there's a tag, you pull it off. It's like, oh, this was $4 a few
Yeah.
months ago. Oh, it was $3 a year ago. Oh, it was $2
You
2
hope it
years ago.
goes in the other direction, but yeah, sure.
Exactly. Exactly. So this one, the bottom price tag on it was like $70. And then it was like 50, then it was like 40, then it was 20, and I finally got it with like the clearance tag for
Uh-huh.
$10. And the only reason I picked it up is because it's autographed. Because I pretty much knew what to expect from the book itself. I knew it wasn't going to be something I was going to care
Mm-hmm.
for. I didn't realize how little I was going to care for it. I didn't realize how little I was going to dislike it. But I don't know. I'll show it off here. It's this.
Well, let me make you a full screen so everybody can see in
Sure,
a
sure.
more appropriate fashion. The worst $10 you've ever spent.
Worst and best in some ways.
Okay.
This is the Marvel Year in Review 2000 to 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Fanboys and Bad Girls. Bill and Joe's Marvelous Adventure. This is the Bill Jemas, Joe Quesada Circle Jerk. Hardcover. And I think when I first read this, I sent you a message saying that this is the literary equivalent of a mile wide.
Yeah.
And it definitely
Right.
is. And the thing of it is I'm a huge fan of the Jemas Quesada era. I thought that was wonderful stuff. I thought it was very daring. I thought it was groundbreaking. It pretty much changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Marvel we have now wouldn't be without Jemas and Quesada's takeover at the turn of the century. I don't think so anyway. And I mean, there's a lot to like about a lot of different eras of comics, Marvel, DC, indie, whatever. But this was written by a wizard guy, Jim McLaughlin, and it's very, very wizardy. So you can compare Wizard around the turn of the century to like introducing a ninth grader to Oscar Wilde.
Sure. Yeah.
Where it's like a little irreverent, a little babies for a satire, that weird intersection of self-awareness and not being self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, this book, in addition to being a circle jerk, is the people writing it telling the fans what they think of them. That they're stupid fanboys drooling in their mom's basements. And I mean, those words are in this book. And it's like, okay, that sucks.
Yeah, not cool.
And there's like a tally because this goes through the year. It's like there's January and it goes through a bunch of January stuff. And let me see if I can pull it up here. Let's see here, because they. Here we go. January of 2001. There's a by the numbers tally here. It says Marvel Comics published 31 comics this month. Marvel Comics that Bill and Joe actually thought were good, 6.
Ouch.
Yeah. So out of the 31 books Marvel put out, they thought 6 of them were good. Not great, not excellent, just good.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that tells me that this book is a little too up its own ass.
Okay.
It tells me that the people behind it were too, and how little they thought of the people who are supporting the company. I'm not a bean counter. We've talked about this. We don't know what's going on in accounting. We don't know what's going on in marketing. We certainly don't know what the executives are thinking. But this just doesn't seem. This seems kind of wrong-headed. So it's like, so I did something that I very seldom do when I start reading something. I put it down. It's like, I can't finish this. As much of a resource I find this to be, because it would be very interesting to talk about, I couldn't get through it. Because it felt like, and I do take things personally, I get a little precious, but it was just like, wow, they're like making fun of me for buying their stuff. That's how little they think of me. And that, they know better, and it really turned me off. And that same weekend, you had sent me a link. And anytime you send me a link, it's like it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is either going to be hilarious or it's going to really, really piss me off. And it was Tom Brevoort's Substack, maybe his blog, whatever. It was a thing linking to that. And toward the tail end of our first go through with the Bada bin, the X-Men books were relaunched again, and they had these QR codes on their last page to give us bonus content. And I think I didn't even look at the books yet, but I was just like, wow, this is bad. This is stupid. There should be people losing their jobs for this, which was exaggerated on my part. What I should have said was the people behind this should really learn more about their customer base, because what they used to call us, Wednesday warriors.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Sure.
The people who actually go to the comic shop every week or once a month or whatever, collect we don't use the F word here, the single issues, and basically bolster the industry to the point where they can do trades, they can do digital, they can do whatever they want. And it's been a long time since any of us would ever expect a full story every issue. But one thing we do expect is a full issue every issue. And we're completionists. That's why we go to the shop every week or every month or whatever. We want everything. So when Marvel took those pages out and put them behind a QR code that you have to go online to check out, because the trades are going to include them, right?
Yeah.
They almost have to. And it felt kind of like a slap in the face. Actually, that's a little bit too strong. It felt like just people making decisions who don't know who their customers are. And Tom Brevoort had a letter on his Substack or whatever that was cherry-picked or concocted, because this person was insane. This person was basically wishing for a plague of locusts to descend upon every Marvel editor. And it's like, I want you to get sick. And it's like, what is wrong with these people? I mean, and of course, fans can be intense. Fickle.
Yeah.
To put it very, very mildly.
Okay.
But it felt like this was a cherry-picked letter so Marvel could look like the good guys, which, I mean, I get it. PR's PR. But it was just such a dismissal of anybody who might have just been like, hey, this was a bad idea. Because even they copped to it. They stopped doing it.
Yeah, there's backlash, that's for sure. I mean, not
right?
summoning locusts as
Sure,
necessary.
sure.
But
No storm of frauds or
yeah, and
anything.
I
Yeah.
think it is kind of old news now. But since we're relating it to
It's
something that
way.
kind of like tipped you over the edge a little bit, it
Yeah.
was they were trying to get cute
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, this is
Yeah.
our post-credit scene. Like, we don't need to put it in here. This
Hmm.
is like free stuff for you."
But the thing of it
Mm.
is, had they put a tiny QR code on the last page of the comic, cool. They took a page out.
Mm.
The QR code was a full page. So I mean, we're paying for that page. So are you giving us something extra?
Did you ever do that AR stuff when there was Marvel was really pushing
Oh,
that?
yeah.
You
I remember
partook in
that.
that?
I
I
did.
did.
I
I
did.
didn't. I wasn't that
Mm,
tech savvy as far as like scan this page
yeah.
of the comic and
And like something
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't great, but I mean, it was. I'm all for trying new
Mm-hmm.
things. And I think this QR code, as wrong-headed as I thought it was, because they used an entire page that we're paying for it. If they just hid it somewhere in the comic, that would have been cool. It's like I remember when the New 52 launched, and like the Easter egg in all the issue ones is that Pandora showed up. Remember
Mm-hmm. I
Pandora?
do.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, we found Pandora in Teen Titans #1, or here's Pandora in Stormwatch #1, and it was like a cool little hunt. It's like, oh, there she
Mm-hmm.
is. Okay, cool. It felt like it felt like it was intentional because it was. So this was, had they hid a QR code somewhere in the book, I think that could have been cool. But I just didn't care for the dismissive, just how it was like, okay, anybody who's against this is insane. And the thing of it is that, like, you ever hear of those marriages where all the husband and wife do are
Sure.
argue and they
Not
fight?
mine.
Yeah, I mean, mine's getting better. Um, but when the fighting and arguing
Mm-hmm.
stops, that's when they split up, because all they really had was the only passion they had was their argumentative
Sure.
combativeness. So as I'm reading this Brevoort thing, I'm trying to get angry. I'm trying to get pissed
Mm-hmm.
off. And by the time I was done, it was just like, I don't care. It's like between that and this year in review thing where it's like, wow, this is all they think of us. They think we're dumb. And a lot of us are, myself included, perhaps especially. But it was just like, eh, I just didn't care. I couldn't even get angry.
Uh-huh.
And that's when it's like, okay, I need to take a step away because I don't care. You know, there could have been something on Bleeding Cool the next day that says Marvel out of business, and I've been like, eh. Or Marvel takes over the world, and I've been like, eh. And I just didn't care
Yeah.
anymore. And I knew I'd be zero use on this show, or even, NML Crossing. It's like, I have no passion for this anymore. It just died. Like any sort of anger, any sort of joy, there was nothing. There was just nothing there. It was hollow. And it's like one of those weird times where it's like, I look at my collection, it's like, do I need this? I know, it's
Why?
sick. Yeah, it's like right now in my house there are 40,000 single issues. And I'm looking at them like, do I need, and I mean, you were with me during my DCBS debates, where I'm like, do I just cancel this
Mm-hmm.
order? And like, I cancel it, I uncancel it, I cancel it, I uncancel it. I talked to my therapist about it. That's how sad this got. I'm like, I don't know what to
Mm-hmm.
do. And I was convinced, like, hey, do you think the passion might come back? And it's like, of course, possibly. It's like, well, is it going to be easier for you to just swallow it now and buy things you might not want, or not buy them and then have to go search for them? It's like, okay. So I kept the orders coming in,
Right.
which was smart,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
totally. Plus,
Um,
you get that discount, baby.
I do get that discount, but I remember a few weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago, I had 4 boxes unopened, like hundreds of comics, brand new. just not even opened the box, and it's like, maybe I should get into that
Mm-hmm.
eventually, and it was just a weird time because like we've talked about like giving up our can't quit you
Sure.
books. Like you had
Oh,
Hulk, I had the X-Men years
yep.
ago, and how you just like lose sleep over it. You can't eat. You're like, oh God, am I doing the right thing? And then that first week where you don't get the book you always got, you're just like, you're itchy, and it's like,
Absolutely.
and then it's like the next week. So everything from the week you missed is now on the wall or gone. And you're like, oh God, okay. And like you're even like checking online, it's like, oh crap, this one's instead of being $4, it's $7 now. Oh, do I bite now? What do I do? This time I didn't care. There was nothing. It was like I canceled the order and I slept fine, which troubled
Yeah,
me.
you ain't kidding, man.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
I'm
got
like,
the
this
money,
is
it'd be one
weird.
thing too if you were back in your reusing
Sure,
coffee
sure.
filter days. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? You're so
yeah,
broke you can't, you're rubbing two freaking nickels together, but you got the
of course.
disposable income. It's just the
Yeah,
passion you don't have.
it's just
That's what was
gone, and
depleted.
yeah, and it was just so weird,
Hmm.
so weird. And I mean, I took a break away. I still love reading, so it's like I turned to manga as like comfort food, just as
Right.
I need something to read. I need something. And I enjoy manga. It ain't our comics. I would never supplant our comics with manga. I think they're a fine little me too to comics, but they're not comics or as we have them here. Some could be a lot of fun, but they're never going to be the same. But it gave me just something I could do where I felt like I was still in the comics milieu, and it kind of got me through that little phase. Um, Manga in months now because it's like,
Right.
okay, I did that thing, um, and it helped. But like I said, it's not the same. It's not the same. But I eventually started to dip my toe back in again, and it's like you always once you start making content about comics, it's hard to stop, and it's hard to divorce one thing from the other. Where it's like you have your reading and you have your creation, and once they're together, it's hard to re-break them out. So that was another hard thing about getting back into it because everything I read, I wanted to make like a multitasker. I wanted to make it where I either had something to write about, something to talk about, something to talk about here on the show. So everything had to have that secondary purpose, which made it very, very difficult to get back
Yeah,
into
man,
it.
that sucks. I've always told you
Yeah,
you got to disconnect
it's
that. You know what I
not
mean?
ideal.
Because
I know.
it's like that joy that you had when you were a kid when you discovered comics, whether it was
Mm-hmm.
escapism because your life sucked or something,
Mm-hmm.
or no, I'm serious. Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, you're
I
right.
mean,
You're
or
100% right.
whatever reason you just dug capes. I don't know, but that innocence, that
Yeah.
beauty, the pure feeling of it. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
re-attain that, to get that. But when you attach it, I got to put a blog post, or I got to write a blog post to this. I got to make sure that I
Yep.
podcast about this or whatever. It's like then it's a chore.
Mm-hmm.
You
It
know?
can become one very, very easily. Yeah, and it's like I think there's as much as I love
Mm.
analyzing comics and just really digging into the minutia of word balloons and certain things that are said and things that are referenced. I remember when I was a kid and like there were some pages of comics you'd skim, whether they were too wordy, whether they weren't
Mm-hmm.
wordy enough. They would just kind of go by. But then like when you're a kid, you reread
Of
stuff over
course.
and over again. So like a week later, you pick up that same book and you like it's like a in totally different experience. It's like it's like it's new again, and it's like you don't have that anymore when everything turns into analysis and discussion. Because like I went through the old Chris is on Infinite Earths blog, and it's like all these books that I loved, but I could never read them again because I took them apart. They're down to like
Yeah.
They're atoms, they're down to like component bits and pieces. It's like I could never enjoy this the
Mm-hmm.
same way again because I tore it apart. It's like the butcher shop. It's like this is hanging over here, this is on the wall, this is on the floor. It's like everything is taken apart and just dissected.
So once you make bacon,
And
you can't have a pet pig anymore.
yeah, precisely.
Okay.
Yeah, precisely. So it was just like it's a totally different
Mm-hmm.
experience. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do? How do you get out of that? And it's like, I don't know. It's like I started reading things that I'd never
Mm-hmm.
write about. Um, I also had a little bit of a homecoming. Um, and I mean, as much as I'm leaning one way right now, I still love creating the stuff. I still love writing scripts. I still love all that stuff. I still love pointing things out and digging deeper into things. Like I was listening to some old X-Laps like
Mm-hmm.
a week ago, which I don't do very often because like who wants to hear why would I want to hear my own damn voice? But it's like there were insights in there that I'm like, how the hell did I come up with that? It's like where did I
Uh,
come up with that line? How did I figure that out? How did I make that connection? And it's very bizarre because like there's a certain amount of scripting to what I do, but these are like off the cuff
right.
observations that are like actually sort of legit and insightful. And it's like, and I love that. I love that it's just conversation can take you there. And like without that, maybe I'd have missed something. Maybe I would have not appreciated something, or maybe I would have appreciated something more because I didn't see the little niggling continuity error in there. But I don't know. But I started to like I said, I had a little homecoming. I started reading some X-Men again. I think that's regardless of what the X-Men are or aren't or were or weren't. It's always going to be home. It's always going to be my comfort food. It's what kept me going to the shop for Jesus 30 years. And been reading some of the older stuff, reading some of the newer stuff. And I mean, it's middling. It's not the greatest stuff in the world. It's not the worst stuff in the world. It's
Okay.
just stuff. It feels, I know I use the word ephemeral a lot, but it feels very ephemeral. It feels like it's going to be a very short-lived um, bit of business while Marvel bides their time for movies to be made and whatever's going to happen with the X-Men in the future. But I think there's probably a lot more to like than to
That's
dislike.
good. That's
So,
great. That's what you needed.
you know,
You know what I
that's
mean?
it.
In
That's
the
it.
process too of like
Yeah, and
deprogramming yourself and
of
getting
course,
back
of
into the
course.
joy.
But I am still writing this
I,
stuff.
I
I'm still
understand. I
writing
get
this
it.
stuff.
I okay. It's but that's also part of your DNA. Like you said, scripting to you is fun. You
Sure.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
gone for a
It's
bit.
part of it. It was
So
gone.
you
Oh
know
yeah.
it's fine. It's all right, and that's your
Yeah.
process. That's you. I don't have that, so for me, it's easy
Mm.
to say, oh yeah, you don't need to do that. You know, because I don't need to.
No, not. Yeah, and like over the past month or so, I think I put together. There's, geez, like 20 new scripts that I've written, hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
pages of script. NML Crossing stuff, this new maybe X-Lap stuff. But it's like the idea, like it's weird. Like blog posts are different than podcasts, clearly, because blog posts you can be in the most depressed state, and you can still write something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But to actually perform, if we can call what we do performing, it is
Okay, sure.
performative, I guess.
We have to show
We
up
do,
somewhere.
yeah, we have to show up. We have to,
Yeah.
evoke tone and tenor or whatever. The thought of doing that was just
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming. Like, how do you hide everything? All the emotions, all the worry, all the fretting, all the stress, all the pain. It's hard to do that with vocally or
Mm-hmm.
audibly, I guess. Um, so that's been like my stumbling block. And like I 100 years ago when I started this little monologue here, I said that, at the risk of oversharing,
Yeah.
like I tend to do, I always worry when I take time away about like what to say when I come back, which is silly and egotistical in a way that like I would expect anybody to give a shit. Um, because I'm just some idiot in somebody's ear for a half hour complaining about the X-Men or Batman. Um, but it's kind of been my brand to overshare, and it's like even when I would overshare, it would be cute, like oh, I got that regular reminder that I'm not.
Oh my lord, we have lost Chris, ladies and gentlemen. This live stream has gone off the rails. Chris, are you there? Hello. Chris, you got too cute, and Skype said no more of you, young man. No more.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
Actually, hold on one second. I gotta actually fix the
I
screen.
just got the chat disconnected.
You get the chat disconnected because yet again you were getting too cute, and now I have to fix your picture because you're tiny next to me. It's honey.
Oh, boy.
Honey, I shrunk the Chris. Let me.
Oh, there we go. I see it, and I'm getting a little bigger.
Okay, we're working on it. It's a.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's a work in
Bear
progress.
with me while I try to adjust this.
Yeah.
Please continue, and try not to anger the internet gods as you do.
Okay.
That sound like a plan?
It's what I'm best at.
Yes. Well,
no, I would say things.
There you are.
There we go. My back.
You are. You're resized.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I don't even remember where I was.
All right, well, start fresh. Just bring up anything you want. You're back now. You've been writing about the X-Men. You're happy.
Yeah.
Things are working out better for you. Let's get to that.
Better, relatively
speaking. Let's talk about this. Let's bring some positivity, some happy vibes to your life and to the Bada Bin show, because I think that's the real big take here is, yet again, you are here with us now. Things get dark, terrible. We are all happy that you chose this path, the one where you will be, in fact, on the internet, bada binning. You know what I mean? So you've taken some steps now to be more out there. You've mentioned that, like, you know, improving aspects of your life, and you feel like they're getting better, right? It's not like, you know, before there was no options. You're stuck in this room and there's no door to escape or get out. Now you can actually roll up the curtains a little bit or open the Venetian blinds, depending of your style, your fashion sense, or your, you know, feng shui. And, you know, some light is shining on your keister, keeping it toasty and warm. This is good.
For sure. But where the hell was I? I think I was talking about coming back on the air.
Yes.
And how to do that.
You are doing it.
Chris, did my eyes deceive me? The Bada Bin show.
There you go.
Back.
You see?
Yes, it is, my friend. Yes, it is. We have our first comment back. It's very, very nice. But thank you so much,
indeed,
Chris.
Thank you, Chris. And there's a lot of Chris's out there.
There are plenty of good, in infinite amounts.
Yes. But how do you do it? That's what you just said. You're doing it right now.
Yes.
You see? And you just spilled your guts to everybody. And how do you feel about that? You feel good? All right. I think it's great.
I feel light. Yeah, that's what's kept me from doing podcasts again. It's like I don't know how to do it, because I've taken breaks before, and I always feel like an obligation to explain why I was gone.
Okay.
And I was usually able to like write that off in cuter ways, where it's like sugar coated or euphemized or whatever you want to, however you want to put it. Where this time it was kind of more real and more dire. And it's like, do I just pretend I didn't miss any time? I could do that, because you know, in the words of the great Mark Waid, who's going to care when it's in the collected edition anyway? But I feel like that's disingenuous. It's kind of untrue to the way I do things. And I don't know. I always say it, to the point of almost parody, where it's like, if anybody's going to spend any time listening to me spout nonsense, the very least I could do is be honest. So it's like but honesty, of course, is on a spectrum. You could be honest or you could be brutally honest. And I don't always know how to calibrate. So that's what kept me. I mean, I've got a dozen NML Crossing scripts ready to go. I've got a dozen of these new XLAP scripts ready to go. It's just a matter of actually sitting my ass where I'm sitting right now and talking about them.
Yeah, but we've done it. The dam has been broken, my friend.
The dam has been broken.
It's gushing.
The dam has been broken. It's literally
exactly.
gushing.
So now you can just step away from today's Bada Bin episode and be like, "Hey, man, I am ready to rock and roll. Chris is back."
Maybe.
Not maybe. Totally. Absolutely. What do you mean maybe?
You never know. I mean,
what is this non-committal?
Not going there. Not going there.
I mean, you're there. You're sitting right in the spot in which you do, in fact, record these things.
It's
so
true.
There you go, man. It's back on the saddle again.
Yeah. But I feel like I've monopolized, 6 hours now? So what's new with you?
Let's see. You've monopolized approximately, if I can, 41 minutes and 44 seconds, which is fine.
Well, that's short for me.
There is no monopoly to be had because, it's our show. We can talk about whatever we want whenever we want to. I could bring up how incredibly handsome I am. How I'm actually wearing wired headphones today, which with a black T-shirt.
That's weird, yeah.
Makes me feel like I'm The Rock with the fanny pack on.
There you go. I got mine too.
Yeah, I'm trying to copy you, as a matter of fact. Actually, I don't know where I put my wireless earbuds.
Oh, your buds?
After we went off the air for our hiatus, I put them somewhere to where, I don't know.
You put them somewhere you'd find them again.
Maybe my kid took them. I don't know. I have no idea. So here I am with these.
How good are your wireless headphones? I bought a pair of them. We were taking a flight, and so I bought some from you have Five Below out there?
Yeah, of course.
That store, Five Below? I'd never been to one before, but I was looking for cheap earbuds, cheap wireless earbuds, and everything on Reddit was like, Five Below. I'm like, okay. And I got them, charged them, and I think our flight was 3 hours, and an hour and a half into it, all of a sudden I hear beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half? Come on now. And it was. Did
you pay more than $5 for them? Because that's one of the tricks.
I think they were $7.
Yeah. Five Below my ass. It's always the cool things,
the Dollar Tree.
Right. It's always more than advertised. But yeah, of course we got five. I think my wife bought these for me at Five Below. As a matter of fact.
How about that?
Was I can't find my damn earbuds. Can you give me some wired ones just in case, so I can also look like The Rock with a fanny pack on? Could be very specific about how The Rock looks. But yeah, no, I've been good, man. I'm a happy guy. I'm reading a lot of comics.
Oh, very
it's
good.
insane. And it's funny how you brought up when you're a kid, how you read a comic over and over and over again, and you kind of can have a different experience, each and feeling.
Oh, it's magic.
But that reminds me of growing up so poor that me and my brother would watch the same movie over and over and over again because we only had 2 movies on VHS.
Oh, sure.
I can't even tell you how many times we watched Howard the Duck because it's all we had. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The same thing with the comics. Man, I cherish this book because I only had at the time 10 comic books, Now, because I do mail order and I spend way too much money on stuff, because I'm an idiot who just plays to the gods of nostalgia. And and many of our viewers would know, man, you get so far behind on certain things. There comes a point where you're like, man, I got to slow down on what I'm buying because I can't reasonably keep up with reading these. You do have certain ones in your pile that are must reads, like automatics.
Of course.
And then the fringe books, before you know it, you turn around and no, I don't have 4 boxes sitting in my kitchen like you do. But I'm like, holy moly, I'm still a year behind.
6 months behind.
Yeah, And so that's happened to me too, which is like something I really need to take care of. Much like my I'm just bringing this up because I happen to be sitting in front of it. My file cabinet project, which I
Yeah,
brought up very early in the bada bin process,
sure.
and I've never gone back to it to the point where maybe you notice I actually have short
Your
boxes
box is on top.
stacked on
Yep.
top because I'm a lazy schmuck. It was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do this one day. I still got plenty of room in these things. Let me keep going. Let me keep organizing. But alas, it was just easier to throw boxes on top of them and say, yeah, I'll do that later.
Oh yeah, I have my. We built a
Mm.
room in our garage where I put these like industrial
Mm-hmm.
shelves. Um, I think each set of shelves can fit 50 long boxes. So it's like 5 shelves, 10 across. I bought 2 of them. And I'm like, oh, this is great because I nothing's on top of anything. I just pull things out. Can every month I'll do
Yeah.
this. And it's like, well, yes and no. I mean, there's a pile over there. It's
Hello.
that that's
Yeah.
there's my piles of recent stuff or semi-recent stuff, and it gets away
It
from me.
eventually becomes very daunting, much like how you had
Yeah,
brought up, like in small doses, everything's okay and acceptable. It's when that
of
scroll
course.
is so heavy and on your
Keeps
chest. Yeah, it keeps
unrolling.
on rolling.
Yeah.
It's when it's too much to take. It's like the analogy I was thinking of when you were bringing that up is you could take
Hmm.
a spoonful of cough medicine or have major heart surgery. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost where it is like, yeah, I get a little chunk of comics here, I get a little short box here, and for me that's that little spoonful of cough medicine.
Oh yeah.
But now we're in the, oh my god, this guy's having a major coronary phase of the whole process and ordeal.
Yeah. A band-aid ain't gonna
No,
work.
no, exactly, yeah. Band-aid on a bullet hole, exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start a GoFundMe. People can pay me to
There
quit
you
my
go.
job and
Yeah.
organize my own comics
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
starting now, because I'm
There you
sure that
go.
was
Yeah.
everybody's wish as children themselves to grow up someday and support a louse like me. Here I am.
When we watched Pee Wee's Playhouse back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, we wanted to we wanted to support that
That's
man.
right. Mecca lecca hi, Mecca hiney ho. Let's pay Dave
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
organize his comics. Ho.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that was it.
Do you remember the first time you got to the point where that uncanny valley, where like okay, I got 3 issues of this I got to catch up on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I could do that. Okay, I got 6 issues. Okay, I got a year. Oh, never mind, never mind. They're just getting filed. Do you remember when the first time that happened for you?
uh, specifically the day or date, no. But the reason why I'm laughing is,
The era?
yeah, you know what? I okay, so I went through my first era of that probably like around 2007
Okay.
with some organization woes where I was like, I just opened
Mm,
my closet and I'm like, holy moly. And I'm just like looking at a stack of stuff. And some of it, this was real bad. Some of it was even unbagged, not boarded, which to me is like
sure. That's the sin for you.
terrible. I'm like, what have I done? And I did take care of that. It took some time, but I focused like weekends. I was like, hey, Dave, you want to come hang out? No. I have a whole
I got stuff
bunch
to
of
do.
Punisher I need to organize. But I was laughing because recently, and this is the other problem with having a few bucks, well, not responsibly spending a few bucks, because I'm like, yeah, I'll buy the trade. I was like, oh, but you're like a year behind. Exactly, it's no problem. I get the
Yep.
single issues all mixed up in all these different boxes here. It's just easier now for me to buy the trade than organize the books that I have because I've been so messy with the whole thing. You
Mm.
know?
Yeah. No, for me it was Marvel Now,
Mm.
the first Marvel Now, because I started DCBS around the New 52, and Marvel Now was like 2 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like you could buy the individual Marvel books at 35% off or
Sure.
whatever, or you could buy this bundle, and it would be every Marvel Now book, and like when you totaled it out, it was like 55%
Oh
off.
wow.
So even though I didn't want all of them, it was cheaper for me to get the bundle, because I wanted that many. So it was actually like $15-20 cheaper just to get all the stuff. And they kept that up for like 6 months.
Wow.
So like for 6 months, I was getting like every single Marvel book, and the pile just grew and grew, and not all of it was great. Um, and that was the first time that I got to the point where it's like I can't keep up. There's like there's no possible way that I could actually read all this stuff. So the piles just started, and then things just got filed away. That was my first taste of it, and unfortunately, it was kind of the hole in the dam, where it's like it kind of informed the way I collected from that point on. It was like I don't need to read everything, which was like unthinkable just a few years prior, and it just became like more about amassing
Yeah.
than actually reading.
I'm thinking right now that maybe there are some people out there who could be watching this who are thinking to themselves, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? You guys are posers. You guys aren't real
Mm-hmm.
fans because you're not reading every freaking thing you buy. And you know what? I get that. Because if I was like 18
Sure.
years old again, I probably would have that mindset. Like, come on,
Oh
guys.
yeah.
But now I got to
Mm-hmm.
work for a living to afford all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got a family to support. Damn you.
And spend time with.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
You're right. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, like I know for example, there's an image series, The Sacrificers. I like the
Mm-hmm.
first six issues, but I think I
Okay.
got issue 12 over here. I'm like 6 issues behind. I'm like, I
Sure.
want to
Sure.
catch up. I want to, but then here, the organizational thing happens again. Where I'm like, well, where
Mm-hmm.
did I put 7?
Now you got to dig.
Where the hell did I
Yep.
put 8? Because I'm putting things in boxes to protect them
As they come.
as they
Yeah.
come, not by series anymore or
Mm-hmm.
anything else. And once you start,
Sure.
man, that's that ball of yarn. The cat got a
Yeah.
hold of that, and boy, is it destroyed, brother.
A buddy of mine is moving
Uh huh.
house in the next few months, and he's a lot like us, where he's collecting and not organizing as often as we promise ourselves we
Mm hmm.
will. And he's in that weird limbo right now, where I mean, we move around a lot. You've moved around a lot. It's very relatable, where like you have all these grandiose visions of you organizing and having this pristine looking collection, but then it's like, oh, we got to move soon, and it's just get all this shit in
Yeah.
boxes. it's like I got stacks over there. It's like I could just organize them, but it's like if you're moving, it's like okay,
Mm hmm.
wad box. It's like, and it's so weird because then when you get where you're going, you're like, oh god, which boxes are those wads in? You know, where do you even start? And it's just insane.
Yeah. You know,
It's very weird.
I'm not in the best situation where I
Mhm.
live.
Mhm.
I've been living
Sure,
here for
sure.
like 6 years now,
Yeah,
and my wife's always like, "We got to get out of here. Let's get a new place and everything else." And I think
sure.
about the moving process, and oh my god, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather just stay here and suffer, man. Because
Oh
like
man.
yeah, moving all my stuff, and I would have to organize better before I
Mm-hmm.
even thought about carting my
Oh
collectibles
yeah.
and comics anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Quite the undertaking. So it's
Oh
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
ain't going anywhere.
No,
I don't
we
want to go anywhere. It's too much work.
for from 2021 to a few months
Mm-hmm.
ago, we were living between two
Right, I
houses,
remember. Yeah.
and like the house that I'm in right now is the one that we left to go to this other house, and then we came back, and for the longest time, this house was just the comic house. Like all the furniture was out. The only things that were there were comic boxes. My entire we have like a great room. It's like a dining room goes into the kitchen. It's like an L shape: dining room, kitchen, living room. The entire thing was long boxes, and I think I even put like a video of it up on one of the social sites I used to use, and I spent like a year organizing because I had just like I didn't even have long boxes full of the new stuff. I had those big totes, the big plastic totes,
Right.
which isn't ideal, of
No, of
course.
course not. No.
Um, but it's like I had a stack of these huge tubs full of just random shit. Like it could be Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, anything. Nothing had any order, no rhyme or reason. And then when you're filling these long boxes, and I fill to the absolute tipping, like the to the busting point, which again isn't ideal. but like you couldn't fit a razor blade in between the comics. It was just so jammed.
Yeah.
So one of the things that stopped me from organizing is like, oh crap, I'm gonna need more boxes.
Oh boy.
But then, the fake ass OCD hits, and it's like, well, how do you do this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like right now, when they announced the new X-Men books, I kind of had a freak out because I have an X Factor box that is full. Like you could not fit a sheet of paper in this box. My X-Force box is full. My X-Men Volume 2 box is full. And of course, the new X-Men is picking up the legacy numbering of X-Men Volume 2, so it's like, uh-oh. I never thought I'd have to put another book in this box. But now it's like legacy number 301. Uh-oh. Where's that going to go? So even right now, it's like, I need more long... How am I going to do this? How does this work? So like when you have like your whole collection that's exactly like that, it's just so daunting.
Yeah. You took the word out of my mouth. Daunting was the word that immediately popped in my head because it's just like climbing that mountain, brother.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's tough.
Like my Action Comics boxes, I think I have 4 full long boxes of Action with some extra. And then my Superman, from 1940, whatever, is like another 3 or 4 long boxes plus some extras. So Action, the rest of Action and the rest of Superman are in the same box, but it's like, doesn't feel right. And same with Batman and Detective. It's like, ugh.
You know what? I'm all for people recently have talked about the potential of having androids in the home. I don't know if
I've seen those.
So I'm all for it. And the reason why I say this is because even when I was working on my filing cabinets here, it took me all day just to get through a minuscule chunk of books because you stop.
And then you start
to look at them. You read them. You pull them out. Hell, sometimes you sniff them. No judgment. But anyway, you know what I mean? So even then, like the little bit that you do get done, you look at it, you admire it.
Of course.
Look at me getting things done. Look at me, So
then you turn around and see that the rest of that pile.
Yeah, so androids would be like, yeah, man, they make me cook, they make me clean. They're like, this son of a bitch right here, he makes me organize his comics. What a jerk.
We got to teach these androids what legacy numbers
are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Their freaking heads would explode. You kidding me? The AI couldn't handle that. It just
couldn't handle legacy numbers.
Just too much.
Wolverine Volume 6 or 7. What is it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. That's just...
This guy has 18 Wolverine number 1s. What's going on
Right.
here?
Too much for the AI to process. Damn you, Marvel. And they'd be the biggest culprit of all of it, too, so... Yeah. The robot uprising, that would be their first target.
That's how we'd kill it. That's how we'd end it.
Yeah, right. Skynet goes after Marvel for legacy numbering. You heard it here first, folks.
That's it.
You have plenty of time.
You put them in
plenty of time to head for the hills.
Put them in the cheapo bins. They'll be sweet.
Yeah, right.
How many Legion volumes?
Oh, jeez, Louise! Holy moly! Yeah, that's a toughie. You know, I was thinking, man, do you kind of want to segue into some recent reads? Because,
let's do it.
I got comics laying around everywhere.
I like it.
So I might as well, I got a little stack over here of some new stuff and some something a little bit older that I kind of figured I could talk about. Because while we were away, I've been reading some stuff. How would you like to approach that? Do you have any books that you'd like to talk about first? Or you just want me to take it away and...
Go for it. I think I've been talking a lot, so let's get into some Dave reads.
Okay, Dave reads. Well, I guess without rhyme or reason, because
those are the best ones.
I just happen to have them sitting over here. I didn't organize them in any particular manner, but let's see. First one on top of this pile is from the Dark Knights of Steel series.
Okay.
And this is All Winter. Have you heard anything about this series at all? Are you familiar?
Only that it exists.
Oh, okay. That it has been printed, it has been published, and it is out there in the world. Now, I truly enjoyed Dark Knights of Steel.
Was that Tom Taylor?
He actually doesn't write this one primarily. It was.
The first.
Correct. He did the initial series. Gotcha. He does a backup story in this, though.
Okay.
This is Jay Kristoff, and the artist is Terso. And this is basically Deathstroke is a barbarian in this
Okay.
dark, cold, gray age. And
Gotcha.
I don't know how far I want to go along with spoiling this, but if you read the first
Mhm.
issue, and if you're a fan of a particular character, such as I am, you knew
Mhm.
immediately this was the introduction in this universe of Swamp Thing. So I did
Okay.
spoil it. Ha ha. Sucks to be you. I look like the Rock with the fanny pack. Ha
There you
ha.
go. I just got to say before you go
Mm,
on here, how weird is it that we're in this year
mm-hmm.
and the DC Bullet and the Elseworlds logo are on a
Isn't that
cover?
crazy? I know
That's
we did
insane.
talk about on a previous Bada
Yeah.
Bins about it returning, but oh my
Yeah.
god, now it's here. It's like coming home, baby. It feels so
Oh,
good,
and the triangle numbering with the legacy in it.
dude.
Oh,
And even though it
jeez.
says all in on the bottom of like the main DC tag,
Who cares?
yeah, who
Yeah.
cares? You get the bullet.
Yeah.
But maybe we can talk about that a little bit further because I do have some more comics that have a better version of the bullet on there. But
Oh,
no,
cool.
this has been a
Cool.
pretty decent read. And
Okay.
even though I kind of spoiled the Swamp Thing stuff, it's decent because I will touch on Swamp Thing again in this stack shortly.
Mhm.
But
Cool.
there's not enough Swamp Thing in the universe.
Mhm.
Always a complaint of mine. So, albeit an Elseworlds take, this has been a very enjoyable read thus far.
Is that a I want to say ongoing, but
No,
we know ongoings. That's just a
yeah,
mini.
yep, that's just mini.
Okay.
But here's an ongoing that I am absolutely in love with in a much more clearer
There
view
you
of
go.
the DC Bullet, right?
Hmm.
Is
With the legacy number,
does it have legacy numbering on there? Yeah, you're
the
right.
little triangle.
862, the
Yep.
triangle, you're right.
Love it.
Damn you.
Love
Isn't that
it.
beautiful? Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. I'm like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, here we are. Face to face, a couple of
Hmm.
silver spoons. Hoping to find we're two of a kind. But yeah, so Superman, I've been fond of this series overall. With Williamson writing it, it's had some
Hmm.
low points. I will admit, weren't the greatest stories ever written. But alas,
Hmm.
hey man, overall it's been very good. But the key
Hmm.
thing about this is, and I'm telling you right now, due to his,
The last page, right? You said there's a last page reveal you didn't
we'll get
spoil.
there. We
Okay.
will get there. But what I wanted to say is, for his artistic supremacy, I am
Oh
nominating
yes,
him for
yes.
sainthood. That is a Mr. Dan Mora because I think Dan Mora is the finest artist in the business today. Like it's just he kills it.
And he must be triplets.
I know, right? With the amount of work that he
Yeah.
puts out there.
Hmm.
And now I know he's currently doing 2 monthlies and he's doing covers on other books. But this issue is absolutely beautiful when you dig into
Nice.
it. And yes, you alluded to a surprise twist at the end.
Hmm.
I will say it's not reinventing the wheel, but I did
Hmm.
appreciate what they did with it. It was
Cool.
definitely one of those don't skip to the end of the book. You want
Sure,
to
sure.
savor it, you want to enjoy it, and I really did.
Nice.
And with Dan Mora on
Nice.
Superman, dude, you can't go wrong. I'm so excited for this book, like, and where
Excellent.
it goes, dude. I love it. I don't want to put it down. I don't want to. I don't want to set it down because I could just gush permanently. Now you also did notice Superwoman's on the cover though, real quick.
Yep.
And for the uninitiated, in the recent DC comings and goings and hip happenings, absolute power.
Hmm.
Some people who weren't powered beings before, all of a sudden, bing bang
They
boom,
be.
they get some
Hmm.
powers now, baby, including Lois Lane.
Hmm.
Marvel, dude, have I texted you about Fantastic Four?
You said you're
I'm
loving it.
loving it. I think it's just
Yeah.
awesome blend of sci-fi superhero goodness. I think
Hmm.
the writer Ryan North has just
Hmm.
nailed it perfectly in Fantastic Four. Not
Hmm.
only is it a entertaining read, you get your money's worth each and
Okay.
every time out. Like it's a full meal, you know.
Mm.
This happened to be a Halloween themed issue. If you kind of can't tell by the cover, a little gruesome for the kiddies there.
Sure.
But even then, like in the issue previous, man, how should I put this like in a delicate fashion? So, all right, and this is spoiling a little bit, but they get trapped on this alien world, and
Hmm.
Johnny Storm, because they're trapped there for so long, falls in love with an alien. But this alien
Okay.
looks like a caterpillar, basically, with some
Okay.
very bizarre anatomy. So okay, you initially
Johnny's got a type.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, initially you look at it you're like, well, that's really bizarre that he's making out with a caterpillar. But at the same time, you appreciate it because you're like, they're going there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like
That's
he's
bizarre.
kissing a scroll. Yeah. He is totally just like getting down and funky with with a worm. Yeah, exactly, right? But that's the cool thing. It's just so out there and wild and crazy. I love Fantastic Four.
Nice.
It's shot up to the top of my read pile.
Nice. I'm still getting it. I haven't read it in a long time.
Totally.
I got to give it a go.
Yeah. Now, if you can't dig out the issues, get the trades. But Fantastic Four has been everything I want out of the book. Everything. You know what I mean?
Nice.
This one I just grabbed this week in the
Okay.
Right, exactly. In the Absolute Universe. Now,
haven't read that one
we
yet.
haven't discussed on air, only in our private text conversations, which I will not share with anybody. If you want to contact me, badabinshow@gmail.com, and I will send you screenshots
there you go.
Chris and I's text.
That's behind our paywall.
Yeah, it's our paywall. But we've talked about the Absolute Universe, and I enjoyed Absolute Batman #1.
Yeah, it was. It felt very, very ultimate.
Yes,
but I didn't dislike it. It.
Exactly. Ultimate Universe. I mean, that's what they were going for, right? That was the ultimate goal there. They're trying to repeat that success that Marvel had with the Ultimate Universe. And I was even thinking, much like with the Dark Knights of Steel, you could actually slap an Elseworlds on the other side as well, and it would still fit,
For sure.
Now, saying how much I did enjoy Absolute Batman #1, I did not have the same enjoyment level out of Absolute Superman #1.
That Jason Aaron?
Is. Jason Aaron to me is a 50-50 proposition.
Yeah.
He's written some stuff that I was absolutely in love with. I thought was fantastic. We could talk about Punisher. Sure. I think his Punisher run...
Wolverine and the X-Men was really
that
good.
I didn't read, but I will take your word for it. His Namor actually isn't half bad, the one that he's doing right now. Southern Bastards was really good. But with that, he's also put out some stinkers. I don't know what you thought about his Avengers.
That was rough. Everything was multiverse.
Everything I read of his Avengers, I really didn't care for. I mean, I'm not here to crap on the guy. This is good. I just didn't find it to be great.
Gotcha.
Now in this one, since you haven't read it yet, and I don't care about our audience, I only care about you. I will not spoil anything, but he is definitely a hero for the oppressed, the everyman.
Okay. I hate the logo.
You really don't like that, huh?
No.
Yeah, that's. Let me get a close up on that.
That's some like dollar store looking stuff there. I don't like.
There's
that
no depth to it. It's very.
No, it's very flat.
Jane.
Yeah, it's like when someone like gets Photoshop but doesn't know how to use it.
The changes to the character, I'll let you be the judge on that. I think they're okay. They make sense according to the theme, to the story. I'm just, it's okay. I was hoping to like it more than I would, but that's how things. That's sometimes the way the cookie crumbles.
How much story do you get in it?
Oh no, that's a healthy dose of story. Much like what I said, Fantastic Four reads like a meal. That's always like my guideline.
Sure.
Are you going to be sitting here with the book for 5 minutes that you spent whatever $4 on,
at least,
or are you truly like not only getting a lot of text and depth in the story that you're absorbing a lot? You're going to be there.
Yeah, something that I digest. Yeah,
20 minutes, half an hour, and maybe you might even flip back and go, "Wait, I want to see this again."
For sure.
I don't know, man. Absolute Superman, like I said, I'm just going to say the jury is still out on that.
Gotcha.
But I you know what? Honestly, if I didn't have Absolute Batman #1 to compare it to, maybe I would have liked it a little bit better. If that's a fair assessment.
Sure. Are you getting Wonder Woman too? Okay, that one I've got that one coming. I don't know what to expect from it, but I think it was like 50% off at DCBS. I'm like, give it a shot.
I just happen to be a male chauvinist pig who can't read Wonder Woman books. I mean,
Wonder Woman ain't great. That guy I've never really had a good experience reading Wonder Woman. I'm trying to think back.
Well,
they killed Terry Long in an issue of it, which was okay.
That's a bonus, sure.
That is a bonus, but I've tried a lot because I think we're supposed to like it, but I just really can't
I've just never been a Wonder Woman fan, and I don't want to get too far into like the whole. I don't know. I just call myself a male chauvinistic pig, but I mean when I think about female characters that I collect or like, the last series I really enjoyed that starred in particular female characters was the Fire and Ice Welcome to Smallville, which I thought was excellent.
Yeah. Sure.
I thought that was an outstanding series. But yeah, Wonder Woman's always been a hard character for me to get into. Just hasn't been my jam. This next book I want to show you, I haven't actually read this issue yet, but it's in my pile because I wanted to bring it up today more so as a story as a whole, because this issue is the last before it takes a break. And maybe that's another reason why I'm kind of like, I'm going to read it today, and then today becomes tomorrow, and I'm like, I'm going to read it tonight.
Sure.
Because I know I'm not going to get any more of it for a while, but I've truly enjoyed it. And that's from Ghost Machine, and that's Rook Exodus, and here's issue number 6. Now,
they're doing that in season mode?
I don't think it was meant to be in season. I don't know why they're taking a little bit of a break.
Okay.
And it wasn't announced that way. I just know the creators came out on social media and said it's going to be a little bit of a hiatus. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But still, this book, as far as the launches from Ghost Machine, I think I've actually been on air here on Bada Bin saying it before. I was shocked how much I like this book. So if you haven't checked out Rook Exodus, I think you should do so. You picked up an issue.
Yeah, you got time to catch up. I think I got the first issue.
But you haven't had a chance to read it yet? You should. No. You should, man. All of you should.
You probably ought to.
So
yeah, I mean, now we have time to read and digest that first arc.
Oh yeah, for sure. But for anybody on the fence about Ghost Machine, and should I grab Geiger, Redcoat, Rook?
How are their trades? It's an Image series. Is it? Are they those bargain?
I don't know.
Volume 1 trades?
Can't answer that with any clarity because I haven't looked up to purchase the trades. I pretty much for Ghost Machine I've been reading right along.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Rook thus far has been the best book of the entire series.
Very cool.
Now I'm starting to sound like the guy. Like I've been doing this for 600 hours. But here, just because it's gone weekly.
Okay.
Action Comics, and this is Mark Wade and Henry.
They should put weekly on there. They should put weekly in the
Action
title.
Comics Weekly.
Why don't they do that? Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
do it.
Well,
we're going back to the past with the bullet.
Yeah,
throw weekly on there.
Right, back with the bullet. Put weekly on there. I don't like the weekly format. I really don't, and
because it's not an anthology, really, right? It's just one. It's like a main story and a backup.
Yeah, and the backup's the worst piece of garbage.
Okay. Well, what you mentioned that in text, but I didn't ask what it was.
It's a Supergirl story.
Supergirl, that's right. We did talk about that.
Yeah, so the main story is Superman goes into the Phantom Zone because there was an escapee from the Phantom Zone when this arc kicked off, and he's trying to investigate why and how all of it happened. And here I am just trying to riff and not trying to spoil anything or whatever. It's okay. It is okay. And in this culture of consuming entertainment, I have been on the record many, many times saying that we ruined it. We destroyed it. It's all of our faults because, and I'm going to relate this to streaming.
Sure.
That when we cut the cord, we had it made, right?
Yep.
We said, hey, cable company, enough of you and your fees and how much you're charging us for TV. We are in control now. Well, unfortunately,
how little
we knew it all come full circle. And I say this in particular because not only do you have to have 20 streaming services now to watch everything that you would like to watch, they made it so it's no longer bingeable. You have to wait every week, weekly episodic television. So we're right back where we began, and we're paying more than
or less.
Than when we had cable. So tricks on us. So in many ways you want to appreciate a weekly format. Sure. Because if, like in my situation, I get my comics shipped every 2 weeks. Now, with the lack of being able to keep up and organize everything, I've contemplated just doing it once a month, you know?
Sure.
But there's that part of me who just loves getting cool crap in the mail.
Of course.
So I'm like, I think I'm going to keep it bi-weekly. So I can appreciate being able to read a few issues at once, you know, or a couple issues at once with the bi-weekly format. Gotcha. What I'm going to say I don't like is the price tag.
They're $5 each.
Well, I get the discount, as you know, 35% off cover. Yeah. But even then,
but cover's $5, right?
$4.99. Yeah, so I'm paying what, $3.24 or something.
$3 and change. Yeah.
And when you look at like before they hit you for the monthly invoice, you go, man, you know, I'd probably have a really reasonable sub this month, but I got to pay for 4 issues of Action, and even at $3.24. You know, you're looking at
it's over $10 for one book.
Exactly. You know, and for what you get, is it mind-bendingly awesome, crazy good action? Like I can't live without it. No. Is it good? Yes. Is it PKJ? Thank God, it isn't. As long as it's not Philip Kennedy Johnson on Action, I will support Action. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but it's true. You know, I just can't. That guy ruined Action Comics for me. It was terrible.
He ruined. I only read one thing of his, but when they well, I can't say they relaunched Action, but when they kind of like refigured Action into being that weird anthology format again, I think it was like issue like 1051 or something like that. I half-assed considered doing like a follow-up to the Action Comics Daily I did for a year on Chris's on Infinite Earths with it. So I was going to wait for a few of them to come out, and I was going to just like burn through them. And I read the first chapter of the Superman story, and it was just like, you know. And it's like, if I don't have anything nice to say, I really, I shouldn't waste everybody's time.
Well,
it was just not what I wanted.
I guess to be very punny, it seems like Action has an identity crisis, right?
Yeah,
because
they don't know what to do with it.
They did the anthology stuff, which okay, so I saw someone on social media post, "Oh man, they should really have a Superman family book again." Like I buy the hell out of that, and I was thinking, no, you won't.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you won't.
Because we had that.
Yeah. The only place Superman family stories can exist is Action Comics.
Sure.
That's it. So if you want a story about, I just mentioned there's a Supergirl backup right now.
Nightwing and Flame Girl.
Yeah.
Flamebird.
Right. Yeah. But even then, Steel, whoever, you know, whatever.
Sure.
You pick up what we're putting down. That's the place to do it. So anthology, okay, that makes sense. Now, you know, I don't really care for anthology books because you get the main story that you're paying for, and often you're saddled with so-so to substandard story in the back, whether they're showcasing a new writer or something else. But okay, so they did that, but then they were like, okay, we're going to do Superman Superstars.
Yes.
Here we are, baby, Superman Superstars. And the aforementioned, why did I forget, Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron did
Bizarro
that Bizarro
story. You had Gail Simone come on.
Gail Simone.
She did the nod to
the Golden Age.
Yes, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, but then that's gone. Now we're doing weekly. Mark Waid has the book. It's going to be weekly. Okay, but surprise, we're going back to Superman Superstars
with Ridley.
Yes, John Ridley. So what's going on here, DC? Like you got this amazing property, this legacied book, this OG.
Sure.
And you don't know what the hell to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then stop giving us. I mean, listen. My tastes aren't for everybody, obviously.
Sure.
But I challenge you, anybody out there who is buying Action Comics and listening to me right now, try to digest the current Supergirl backup, and whether it's story or art or what have you, you will agree a full package is not being produced properly here. I guarantee it. To anyone, even to like a Supergirl purist who loves everything about Supergirl and must have everything Supergirl, I'm sure they'd be like, I'm calling the trash, and they'd probably just meh it to death. You know what I mean?
It's a thing, yeah.
Stop jamming that crap down my throat. Yeah, I don't know if I had anything more else to say about Action Comics in particular, other than, come on, guys. Here I am sitting on YouTube. I could run Action Comics better than the editors are right now. You know what I mean? And that's saying something. I'm just a schmuck. All right, let's continue. I got a couple more new books to just show you guys real
Sure.
quick, and then we'll move on to what you got cooking. This is one that we've talked about, and you were just talking about not having any more room for it.
Yep.
X Factor with one of my favorite all time currently going forever writers. I love him. I really do. I like Mark Russell quite a bit. And to say that doesn't mean he doesn't have his own stinkers out there. But
For
overall, I really enjoy Mark Russell.
sure.
And you nailed it on the head because when I was like, what does X Factor remind you of? And you immediately said Ecstatics, Peter Milligan, Mike Allred, right?
Yeah, Mike Allred.
It is
Yeah.
totally the same blueprint, except
Definitely.
in this one, I think
The DNA is
it's all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a black light out, you'll see the DNA, right?
I hope that's boring.
Yeah, but this is, I think it's updated to more modern times and social media influences and what have you.
Yeah, sure.
This, I like the first issue more than the preceding, not preceding, the subsequent succeeding. Yeah, I don't know my words.
Either one.
The following
something.
Issues thus far, but it's been okay.
2 and 3.
Yeah, 4. I got 4 over there. I still have to read. I did read 3 though.
Yeah, I read the first issue, and it's weird. It's one that I came in prepared to hate.
Okay.
Because satire only works so far in comics, and I think we talked about earlier. You give a high school freshman their first Oscar Wilde, and it's like, oh, everything should be like this. It's like, eh. But X Factor #1, the new one, it made me very uncomfortable, but I liked it. Like it felt, like we said, ecstatic.
Very.
From the conceit, from some of the events in the issue, some of the loss in the issue. Very, very, that first issue of X-Force that Milligan and Allred did before they even became Ecstatics. It was definitely that blueprint for sure. Made me very uncomfortable. Wasn't sure if I should like it or not, but I did. So I dug it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I just mentioned the next couple issues. You're okay.
Well, I mean,
the vibe is still there.
The X line right now is weird. It's because I've read the first 3 issues of the new volume of X-Men, and even in those 3 issues, it's like there are some highs and there are some lows. It's like it's a very unstable line. It's weird. It's weird. I don't think I'd ever read. Well, actually, the Rosenberg era before the Hoxpox stuff was a lot like this too, where Marvel doesn't seem to know what they want to do. So it's like they're doing a lot of stuff and then they're doing nothing. Then they're doing a lot of. It's just weird, very uneven. Very uneven.
I'll tell you what.
Not bad. But
here's what we should do. And I'm only assigning this because of our present conversation. I take over Action Comics. You take over the X line at Marvel. And we'll make it as right as rain. Does it sound good? I'm telling you, I think we could. I bet you, dude, if you sat us both down at a table, it's like, here you go. I know you can't organize your own comics for crap, but we're going to give you 6 hours.
You can barely tie your own shoes. But
here's unlimited amounts of coffee and a notepad. And cash. Tell me what you would do with these titles to make them better. How would you improve them? And if you gave us just a little bit of time, we would sit there, come up with something that I guarantee you would be better than what we're currently being served.
Because what I would do, not to actually take this into a tangent.
Hey, let us know what's up. Cook it.
With the X-Men books here, the thing that really kind of drove me mad about it when they announced this new line was that the day they announced it, they announced 9 ongoing books.
Quite a few.
9.
Hello.
That's a lot of books, and the #1 issues were at least $5. They went up to, I think, $7.99 for Uncanny. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of books. And it's the same thing I thought about the New 52, where it's like, don't put out 52 #1s. Put out 10, and then build from there. I would love it if they launched Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. And it's like, okay, this is going to be where we're going to be for a few months. Then we can maybe introduce a new X Factor. And then maybe we can introduce a new X Force a couple months after that. We can actually build the lineup again. You're going to get to your 9 books. That's cool. We're going to get to your, gosh, I would think between the minis and one shots, there are going to be some months where there are 15 or 16 X-Men books on the shelves. We'll get there. We don't need to do 9 all at once because you're doing a disservice to the lower tier ones. Like, there's a Jean Grey book right now, which is kind of dull in comparison to everything else, in my opinion, but it's like it doesn't have any room to breathe because the shelves are stacked. So it's like you're reading about all your favorite characters in their usual comfortable teams, and then there's Jean Grey out in space. Not saying there isn't room for that, but maybe build
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. You kind of, much like Jean Grey, you read my mind
Yeah.
because I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking like, okay,
Yeah.
you almost want something to be more organic than just okay. We get Psylocke #1. Do you need
Yeah.
Psylocke #1? Is it absolutely necessary to have Psylocke #1? I don't know. I haven't read it, but I would think
But at least Psylocke is appearing in X-Men right
right.
now.
But then maybe
So
something
it's like you can build
right,
to it. Yeah.
exactly. And then 10
Yeah.
issues into X-Men that she's been in it, she's developed some kind of story or somewhere she can
Little
carry
side
off on her
story.
own that would
Of
be,
course.
worthy of her own title or mini.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. It's just like boom,
Yeah.
just drop a pile on
Yeah.
everybody all at
No, it's like
once.
it's like the New 52. The first month we had all the main heroes got their own book. Justice League had a book. Teen Titans had a book. It's like, where'd the Titans come from?
Mm,
Everything's brand new. Maybe wait 6 months and then introduce a Teen
yeah.
Titans, because you can have, you know, Robin or Red Robin or whatever the hell he was back then, hanging out with Batman for a bit, and it's like, oh, he's gonna go off and do his own
Right.
thing, but it's just like, no, here are all these characters, here are all these books. You better care about all of them.
Yeah.
We're doing this for you. You better care about all of them. I don't know, and that's not saying there's not room for these books, but just get there. Build the foundation. Make us care.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of the things I would talk about on X Lapsed is the difference between the X-Men generations. Like, they introduced the New Mutants. It's like 5 characters, and it's like each of these characters had a story. And it's like, okay, so we care about them. We met them. We learned who these people
Mm-hmm.
are. Then Generation X happens, 10 years later, and like, we had our point of view character in Jubilee, who we've known and loved for years. And then we introduce some other characters along the way, and then finally, boom, there's a team there. And it's like, oh, cool, we care about these people. Then they do like New X-Men Academy X. And issue 1 introduced like 70 new characters. It's like, how are we supposed to care about 70 new characters we've never seen
Mm.
before? We don't know their histories. They all have they all have powers that are redundant. It's like, oh, we have another speedster. We have another one with wings. We have another one with claws. We have another one with metal skin. Great. But it's like, how can you care about that many things at once? How can you invest in that many things at once? And that's just been a comics problem, where we don't have patience anymore. And you can't even blame the companies for that, because I think there's a demand. So it's like they're giving us what we think we
Mm-hmm.
want.
Yeah. Right.
So it's hard to hold it against
Yeah.
them. But at the same time, when you're at the other end, it's like, well, they killed half the new X-Men team. It's like, okay. It's like, if they killed Jubilee, I'd care. If they killed Danny Moonstar, I'd care. But it's like, they killed 15 of these characters we just met yesterday. Okay, great.
Yeah, and
Next.
if you were going to do that, you would probably want your strongest writer. You know what I mean? You want your best
Yeah,
creative team on that
at least
series.
at least at the as a in the architects team,
Yeah, right.
where it's just like, there's someone to, what did they call Warren Ellis when he took over, the plot master? He was the plot master on Generation X, X Force, and X Man
Mm-hmm.
during Counter X. We had Hickman during the Hoxpox stuff, who was kind of allegedly overseeing everything. Um, Now, I mentioned this off the air. In like 4 of the new X-Men #1s, we have like the same scene playing out with different characters. It's like characters going to a nightclub and getting sent away because they're mutants. It's like, is anybody reading each other's books? is this all going to come together? That there's some massive conspiracy behind
Mm-hmm.
nightclubs? I I don't know, but it just feels very
Yeah.
disjointed, and it's hard to invest as much as I want to because I'm dying to invest in the X-Men again. I'm dying to invest in comics overall
Yeah.
again.
Hey, it's like me and the Hulk, man. I'm just, dude, so hungry for a good Hulk book. They actually just announced they're
Mm.
going to be doing, and this is going to, I'm sorry. I apologize. Because I know this is going to nauseate you. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just the truth. It's the simple matter of everything is they're doing a new Red Hulk book. Now, Red
Okay.
Hulk, I don't care for. It's
Mm-hmm.
being written by Benjamin Percy, and I think
Okay.
Jeff Shaw is drawing it. But anyway, one of the
Okay.
things I read about it was, well, in the new Captain America movie, Brave New World, they're introducing the Red Hulk. So we're gonna give Hulk his yeah.
Synergy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, really? And I'm like, but here's what I was trying to get at is I was almost tempted, like maybe I should check that out. And I'm like, whoa, Dave,
Sure.
Red Hulk was one of the reasons you dropped the Hulk all those years ago because there was so many gamma irradiated beings you just couldn't take it anymore.
Oh
And you were
yeah.
like, this is so cheap.
Yeah.
This is just
Mm-hmm.
a terrible, terrible thing. But I'm thirsting for like a decent Hulk story. I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't even care what Hulk it is. You can give me
Sure.
Amadeus
Give me
Cho.
something. Yeah.
Just give me a good
Yeah.
Hulk story, you know.
Sure.
So yeah, I feel you with that X-Men stuff. So now let me bring up the mood a little bit. Let
Do
me
it.
like totally turn that frown upside down and cover your butthole because a rainbow is about to spew from it.
Uh-oh.
Here's a book that did not need to exist, but I bought it anyway because I had mentioned
Mm-hmm.
it's got Swamp Thing in it. And
Okay.
that is Feral Trees, Poison Ivy, and Swamp Thing.
Hmm. How annoyed are you that Poison Ivy's name comes
Well, it's
first?
not even a comes first. Is that now it's like the tag team. I,
Yeah.
I always say I'm on record saying I've said this many times before. I've said this on air. How I don't think Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing both need to connect to
Are
the
the same.
green. You
Yeah.
you had Lady Weed, so I think was a much better character in Swamp Thing lore.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough,
Mm-hmm.
in this book, it does focus heavily on the green, the current state of the
Okay.
green, and it does mention that she doesn't have really any relation to it. So I'm
Okay.
like, oh,
Okay.
okay. I'm not familiar with the writer G. Willow
Wilson?
Wilson's work overall.
Okay.
I know she's been doing Poison Ivy for quite a
Mm-hmm.
while. What I do find interesting about this is the artist Mike
Mm-hmm.
Perkins, who was the artist on the last Swamp Thing book, the Ram V one.
Gotcha. The Swamp Thing?
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
there's much to be said when you talk about current Swamp Thing artists with, for example, Kelly Jones.
Sure.
Kelly Jones was basically, you are the heir apparent to Bernie Wrightson. He's a
Mm-hmm.
huge Bernie fan. He knew Bernie. I've actually talked to him about this. Like, for him, it was like a heavy
Mm-hmm.
burden to bear. But he
Sure.
appreciated it because the styles are so similar. He modeled
Sure.
his artwork off of that.
Yeah, he was like Wrightson with like a little bit of Sienkiewicz. She was just
Yeah, I
like
could see that.
very like angular, pointy. Yeah, it's interesting.
It
Very good
was
stuff.
even cartoony in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Jones, nice
Like
guy.
cartoon macabre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice guy. But I mean, there are limits to how much you can appreciate his art. Like, it's one of those things in small doses.
Sure.
You dig it for if it's appropriate for a certain title or what have
Mm-hmm.
you, but over a long stretch, you kind of go, I've seen this before. Or he did this exact same thing in this previous issue. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of,
Yeah.
you start going, well, is he copy and pasting some of his own work here? Like, whatever. I'm not going to get that far into it
Gotcha.
because he is
Sure.
supremely talented, far more than I
Of
am.
course. Of
But to
course.
speak of Mike Perkins, I found it interesting that, akin to what I just said about channeling Bernie Wrightson with Kelly Jones, he almost feels very Bissett and Toddleman, which is a good thing. And I
Okay.
wonder if
Okay.
I ever had a chance to ask him how influenced he is
Mm-hmm.
by that run in particular.
The more run.
And you
Yeah.
get a lot of those vibes in this book, man, and that's really enjoyable. That's something
Nice.
I like. But story wise, back to what I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, it didn't need to exist. There's a story in it that doesn't necessarily need to be told. Now, will it spin off and kind of grow roots
Did
somewhere
did
else?
did Poison Ivy go on hiatus for that?
I'm not aware.
Like, okay, I wonder if like Poison Ivy stopped for a couple months to do this, and then Poison Ivy will pick
I don't
back
think
up.
so. I think this is just like the one shot.
Concurrent?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
Oh,
It's
it's
a one shot. Yeah, yeah. No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a minute.
No. This is it. That's what I mean. Like,
Gotcha.
and yet again, it's okay. But for any diehard Swamp Thing fan, does it change anything of consequence to you? A couple of head scratchers in there when it comes to Parliament of Trees. Like, wait, what?
Gotcha.
They're doing this now?
I wonder if that was meant to be a Poison Ivy annual or something.
Could have been with
wonder.
Swamp Thing as the backup.
Sure.
And the tough thing, too, when you're reading this, to be honest with you, I like to think it's Alec, but there's nothing really there to signify it's either Alec or Levi.
Who's Levi?
Levi is the new Swamp Thing. He's the Swamp from Ram V's Swamp Thing.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. And you're looking for like little things in here, like the speech patterns, because Levi, for example, would, even though he'd have the orange word balloon, didn't speak in pauses. While Alec would. And you're looking for that in here, and you're like, oh, they paused.
The ellipses. And,
no, but this time he went a whole word balloon. He didn't pause once. So what the hell is going on? So that's something I didn't like. It was hard to identify. But yeah, I mean, if you're a completist, of course you have to buy it. Just don't get your hopes up. Recently, Swamp Thing made an appearance in Titans. And that was just trash. It was like, I wanted my money back. DC should be ashamed of themselves. How recent was that? A few months ago.
Was that before? Okay. Was that during like that, was it Black Winged something story? Or was it
This is the one where Raven becomes like this ultimate baddie.
Where she splits? Yeah, okay.
Like she absorbs her brothers and everything else like that. And like, that was another one. Like Swamp Thing was just a throw in. It was just, hey, maybe we'll squeeze a couple extra bucks out of Swamp Thing fans, maybe, like by having him on the cover. I was disgusted by it. I felt robbed.
And they gotta tell new Raven stories if they want to keep using.
Dude, I don't have any love for Titans like you do. The Teen Titans, Raven, nothing. Like I really have no connection to it. But to have Swamp Thing in something, I was intrigued and I wanted to buy it. Man, I regret it.
Did you buy the Swamp Thing Milk Wars tie-in?
I did not. I read it. I remember because I reviewed it, but I didn't buy it. And actually, at that point in time, I think I was living in Mexico.
Yeah, it was 2016,
so newer issues are very hard for me to come by. I was reading a lot of things digitally at that point for reviews online on a podcast and stuff.
The comps,
But yeah, I was never a fan of Gerard Way or the, was it Bad Animal? Young Animal, thank you. Young Animal, which I thought was bad.
Reggie and I covered every single one of those.
I feel my sympathies. And real quick, just to wrap up Dave's recent reads, I got one piece of ephemera, because I know you love ephemera, so maybe I'll save that.
I am a huge fan.
But this is a series I got into recently. I got the first trade for like $1. And that's how they get you, right? First one's free, almost.
How they get you.
And then but
then you're snorting it off the floor.
There you go. And decades late, I was snorting it off the floor, but that's why The Last Man.
There you go.
And I ended up buying all the trades, the deluxe trades.
Nice.
A little bit fatter there. And man,
very pretty stuff.
I know you're not a fan of Saga. I love Saga.
That's the old Chris. This new Chris has a new lease on life and is being more positive about it.
Good, then you should.
So I'm gonna give Saga.
Please do. The thing is when you kind of like, okay, so if you're not reading Brian K. Vaughan in like chronological order, things dawn on you later. Like this is definitely the like spiritual Saga.
Genesis.
Saga is a spiritual successor to Why the Last Man. Okay, but then even before that, back to Swamp Thing, he did the Tefe Holland run.
He did Swamp Thing,
and you're like, dude, this guy just he knows how to write a road trip. Because all three of those books are basically road trip adventures.
And he did Runaways.
Right,
too,
there we go. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Sagas in space. This is after a plague and environmentalism was a huge theme for Swamp Thing when they're on the road and whatever. But man, I think this book was just fantastic, and I am in some ways appreciative that I didn't get into it when it was coming out. And I can kind of see why, because there was a lot of hype around this book when it was being released. And I try to get into, okay, 20 years ago, what would have stopped me? I don't remember. Why didn't I get into this book? It's the art. Because
you'd mentioned that the art was a little iffy.
The art is very, Kurt Swan could have drawn why. It was Pia Guerrera, or Guerra. I don't know how I say it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but it is such a simplistic.
But it was that very it was the very turn of the century Vertigo style, like where it was kind of flat,
very flat, no depth.
Yeah, very very early, very turn of the century Vertigo.
I don't know if this shows up at all, but
yeah, exactly.
There's really nothing happening there, and then I think about imagine if this book would have been probably considered one of the greatest stories of all time had Dan Mora drawn it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Holy moly! Hang on to your butts. Dan Mora drawing anything is incredible. And yes, he pays me.
You're on a stipend.
I am on every time I mention his name and how incredible he is. He sends me 10 cents. He sends me a dime. But yeah, dude, I thought it was great. I thought the finale was perfect. So I do say, if you were like me and you're out there and you're like, man, I sat on why I didn't check it out, whatever, dude, give it a chance, man. It was really enjoyable, and in many ways you can see the maturity level too of Brian K. Vaughan, not only as a writer but as a human being, especially when you compare it to his newer works, Saga. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's very interesting on many levels, I think, as a fan and reader. So Y definitely comes with one of my highest recommendations. Not a fresh read, but a recent read.
Sure. Yeah, Y was the first Vertigo series I started at ground level. It's like I saw the first issue and I was just very, very Vertigo curious at that point.
Okay.
And it's like, it's because I remember they weren't at the same day, but like Ed Brubaker had a series called Dead Enders that came out of Vertigo.
Sure.
Similar art style, very that flat Vertigo style. And I read like the first 2 issues of that and I was like, it just wasn't for me. And then Y came out, and the first issue was just like, oh damn, okay, all right. So I actually kept with it for it runs 60 issues.
Correct.
5-year run. Yeah. So I kept up with it the entire time, and it like went through bouts of unemployment, but I always caught back up on Y. It was always a priority, and I don't remember much of it since it's been many years, but I do remember enjoying it very much.
I feel bad because I'm like, hey man, you should go back and read it, dig right in. But I say that about so many things, you would have no time to do or go back and read half the things I recommend. But yeah, the other thing too, I'm glad I have it in trade form because it's right there in the bookshelf. No digging it out.
Of course,
and
of course,
trades can be had for cheap. As a matter of fact, I went on a recent hunt with my good pal Bada, and I'm like, man, we went to a Half Price Books, which has turned into a disaster. I won't even get into it now, but it used to be the mecca. My Half Price Books was like the Half Price Books, and now it's like gross.
You're at the home base.
It is disgusting now for comics. It's terrible. So much so your dogs agree. They are very upset about this.
They're upset.
I heard them yapping back there like, Half Price Books.
Penny and Lola do not.
But still, they were like, the trades were there. They were a couple dollars cheaper than what I actually paid. I'm not saying I think I paid like $12. They were like $10 at HPB, but still, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you can get a really good story, a full run of something for $40 or whatever, maybe even cheaper if you get crappier condition, depending on whatever fits your fancy.
Or you can find stuff in the clearance bins. You can find all sorts of stuff.
There was actually one issue in particular that hit me so hard. I was like bummed out for a good like 24, 48 hours. Like I felt it. You know what I mean? I was, dude. Okay. And it's so rare. And the other thing was I rushed out and bought that issue.
Okay.
And yes, I bought the individual issue because I'm like, dude, this like emotionally hurt me. It was so impactful to me. It made me feel albeit not in a good way, but made me feel in general, I think that deserves to be owned. And even then I go, wow, okay, it's not a key issue. So nobody's out there demanding it. So I can get it for like $2, but for me, it's worth like $1 billion because of the way that it, albeit a gut punch,
affected you.
It got me, man. It got me.
When comics can make you feel, when anything can make you feel. I mean, that's worth holding on to and celebrating for sure.
In good way, bad way, whatever way. But I mean, I was even at work, and I'm like doing my tasks at work, and I'm like, oh man,
But I mean, that's
sad. I'm very
That just shows how magical comics can be.
I'm very unhappy about this. I wish that didn't happen. Why am I talking in this voice? Bayak. Have you watched The Great British Baker? Have you watched the latest season?
No.
One time she uses like a, when they say ready, set, bake, she uses like a Jamaican accent, which I can't do. But to me, it sounds like she says bak. So there you go. Anyway, do you have any new reads or anything you want to show off?
The new reads have been X books and Absolute Power. I finished that up. I read that first issue of Absolute Batman.
Okay.
And
opinions?
Something pissed me off about it.
Hold on, let me.
And it's that my copy, the middle page, wasn't connected to the book.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the middle page was not stapled in, so it was just like hanging there. It's like, come on.
Wow.
So that annoyed me. But I thought the story was pretty good. Like we said earlier, it's very ultimate, very, very ultimate. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just
right.
A thing. But I came away from it. It's like it was kind of like reading an Ultimate comic. I mean, as repetitive as that sounds, because it's like, didn't it end with like the Joker who like never laughs or something?
Correct.
It's like the introduction of, and it's like, oh,
spoiler.
Because it was just like, that's how we would get with the Ultimate books. It's like, here's a character but different.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, okay, well, I'm there for it. I'm there for it. So.
Well, even then, you kind of like trying to spoil the whole Joker thing. Nice job.
Spoiler alert.
You're talking about like the different takes on characters. It's the same thing with like the Dark Knights of Steel and the Elseworlds or whatever.
Sure.
But like everybody knew going into this because it was everywhere how like Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah, he's like a mercenary,
right? And I think it was okay. So we both read, and I'm sorry to jump in on this because I was like, "Hey, what's your opinion on this?" And now I won't shut up. We both did not care for the DC All-In special.
Yeah, that was very, very uneven.
Yes,
because it was a flip.
Correct.
Book, and like one side was like kind of okay and comfortable. The other side was a train wreck.
Right. But it did establish this is Darkseid's universe, so it's going to be dark and gritty and more negative and everything else. Takes on the characters. So you're stripping characters of basically essential aspects of them that make them who they are. And that's something that will make a reader weary, especially a big, longtime fan who's like, man,
sure,
okay, it seems easy, right? You're having a pitch meeting, you go, well, we're going to make Batman poor. Oh,
yeah.
Clutch those pearls before you snap them off Martha's neck. Oh, I can't believe you're going to make him. Oh, no, Alfred is different. Or Absolute Superman, like, no Kents. No Daily Planet. Jeez Louise, these are the things that make him special and who he is and everything else. So you go, is that really brilliant or whatever? And how are they going to pull that off?
Yeah.
Thus far, in Absolute Batman, I think they did much better than they did in Absolute Superman.
Gotcha.
But I can see I kind of lost my train of thought of this, but I was going to say, you can see how it's incredibly easy and cheap, yet how it is also, depending if it's done right, a potent storytelling device.
I agree.
I agree. As you were before, I really interrupted you.
The All-In special was
yes,
weird.
That's what we were talking about. The darkness, the evilness, yes.
The other side, the Booster Gold story, it was oddly reminiscent of the time in DC that I call the nebulous interim. It was the time between Infinite Crisis and the New 52. It's like where everything mattered, nothing mattered. Everything was on the table, nothing was on. It was like a very weird time where like it felt like we were getting different versions of different characters, but still everything worked. Like we got that weird Justice League volume. I think Brad Meltzer launched it, and like it opened with like a Red Tornado story, and like Speedy or Arsenal, he was now Red Arrow, and it was just there were like a lot of. It was like a maturation, but also a regression at the same time. Post Infinite Crisis, the booster bits of the All In special felt a lot like that. It's like I didn't know what era of characters we were looking at. It was like an amalgamation of all like different eras in like one room. It's like very odd. Sort of comfortable, but sort of not comfortable at the same time because I haven't been reading as much DC. I haven't been reading much comics in general. So part of me wants to think this is like organic. The rational part of me realizes it's probably not. But I was able to do it. I was able to read it and enjoy it. And then I got to the page where it's like, oh, everything else is upside down. And I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
So I flipped the book over and I started reading that and I was like, oh, no. And it really, like, I wish I read the flip side first because the flip side just didn't land for me.
Well, you do realize what they're doing is, he's the tether. Booster Gold, right?
Yeah,
so when they do their inevitable crossover and everything else, he's
in 6 months. Probably,
he's the little umbilical cord. Yes.
Yeah.
Any way you want to slice it.
Yeah, which is fine because I mean they tried doing that with him with I think it was Future's End, where like there was like a Booster Gold one shot out of nowhere and we hadn't even seen him since like that weird Dan Jurgens JLI, where like nothing really made sense because like there was no established history but everybody knew each other. Another one of those things like Titans. They should have come out a year later or 6 months later. Just to establish the world before you start to fill it.
Well, they are kind of staggering the releases of the Absolute Universe. They've announced
this is true.
Absolute Martian Manhunter, for example, and I do want to mention this before I forget.
Green Lantern. Yeah.
What was that last one? I'm sorry.
Green Lantern is coming out. Flash. Yeah.
Actually, Elseworlds too. They're doing that now, where they're okay. So recently, I just showed off the all winter, but they have the Gotham by Gaslight, Kryptonite Age. And they're doing another series in that coming next year. They did the Green Lantern series is coming out from Elseworld. So they're like doing, yet again, staggering these titles out, but they're really trying to reestablish this universe, right?
Brand.
Which is smart enough, I guess. But what I was going to say about your Absolute Batman missing the staple is that we learned nothing from history. So, of course, we're doomed to repeat it. Where... that issue is hot. So it's selling. And I read something so crazy and ridiculous, I couldn't believe it was real. And that is because cover A, of course, is the most sought after issue. Apparently, what they did with some of the variants with the cardstock covers is it's a double cover. So it's got the variant cover on the top, but underneath is
then you open it
cover A. So people are actually
removing it,
taking off the cardstock and then trying to spin or sell cover A to make their.
But there's no price on it.
I don't know, man.
There's no cover price on the other cover.
I don't know. It's something I read
because DC's been doing that for a while.
Oh, okay.
Where like the cardstock cover underneath it will be the regular cover. Because I found like a stretch of World's Finest in the dollar bin, and some of them had that cardstock cover. So it's like I was like, I don't want that. And then you open it up, and it's like, oh, the real cover's right under it.
I just heard people were trying to flip them as cover A's. I'm like, what?
That's funny.
That's what I mean. I'm like, am I in the fandom zone? What's going on here? Like, who would do such a thing? That's just ridiculous,
Wild.
But apparently this is a hot issue. It's on third printing, and if you went on eBay or something, it's supposedly like $15, $20. And I'm just listen. I was about to say I'm just throwing out an arbitrary number, but I knew it was
sure.
It's $10, $15 or something. Yeah. So it's like, what?
it's overcovered.
Yeah,
Yeah, which it probably shouldn't
it'll
be.
dip
But
back down. Just
yeah,
wait. After you get
yeah,
8,000 copies, CGC'd at
yeah. Don't
9.8.
panic buy.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
just. I know you really want the story, you really want the issue. Slow down, take it easy. Don't mortgage the house for absolute
Yeah,
Batman number one.
they're taking a page from the new Ultimate Spider-Man #1, which for some reason people want like $100
Mm.
for it. It's like, okay, what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
well, if it ever gets to be like $100 or something, I guess I would sell mine, even though I don't know how to. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Not savvy in
I'm
the
not
ways.
savvy in the
Yeah.
ways. I don't. I just get high on my own supply. All right, so
hmm
back to more of
hmm
your recent reads that I wish you had brought with you so you could go full screen
Yeah,
and show us,
yeah.
but instead you just figured, screw them guys. Screw them kids. They want to see
Um,
comics? Not today.
Not today. No, you're looking at my
Yeah, right.
face, and you're gonna like
So
it, damn it.
X-Men has been good, but
Um,
not great. They've kind of made the
yeah,
wrong strategic move
kind of
with
middling.
that.
Yeah.
Absolute Batman copying Ultimates, good, not
Good.
great,
Yeah.
but we're on our way.
Yeah. Net
Net
positive. Net
positive.
positive.
What else have you been digging
Um,
into?
I've been reading some older stuff. It's weird. Just it's not even. I can't even say it's comfort food, but it turned into comfort
Mm.
food. It's the ongoing Hawk and Dove from like 1989. The not the Liefeld miniseries,
Mm-hmm.
but the ongoing that sprung out after that with the Kessels or the Kiesels, however you say their names. Um, and there's something about that series. It's kind of dull, but it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It feels it's because it's a 1989 book, so it's going into the 90s, but it's almost like a throwback to like those early post-crisis comics, like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle. I don't know, did Blue Devil make it past the crisis? I don't remember, but like Sword of the Atom, stuff like that, Power of the Atom,
He
whatever it
did
was.
make it pass. I don't know for how long though. Talking about Blue Devil, because they
Yeah.
had the Crisis crossovers. I remember that.
hmm
Yeah, I'm gonna be thinking about that way too long today. Why did you bring that up? You
Uh,
sadist.
be- but this Hawk and Dove
Mm.
feels like a throwback to that, and it's only a few years removed. But it's not what I think about when I think about 90s comics. It feels very mid 80s and in a way where it's very comfortable. Um, a total anachronism for the time. Like, I couldn't imagine this being on the shelf with like Jim Lee X-Men or with even, you know, the Batman and Superman of the day. But there's something very comfortable about it. It's very kind of plodding. Um, it ends in disaster, of course, with the whole Millennium, not Millennium, the
Armageddon
Armageddon in
2001.
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Monarch. Yeah.
Monarch. But it's just a fun little read that I'm enjoying every now and again. It's not like a huge reading project, but like I got them handy, so it's like if I have a few minutes, I'll sit down with one, and I'm
Right
enjoying it.
on.
And I mean
That's
that's
great.
yeah, and that's one of those things that I don't ever see making I'm not gonna. There ain't gonna be no talking Dove show,
It probably already
but I thought enough
is.
about it to come up with a name. I'm sure
Yeah.
there is. It's too clever a name for there not to
Right.
be. But but yeah, it's just a fun little diversion. I've been reading some Brave and the Bold, um, from the 60s and 70s. There are some Batman and Titans team
Mm-hmm.
ups or adversarial encounters in the Brave and the Bold, and they're fun. Um, there's one that I read the other day with Bruce Wayne's second ward, like some a billionaire friend of Bruce's father had this kid, and like if anything happened to the father, the kid would go live with Bruce. So that just this, he gets a new ward for an issue, and the kid he dies at the end of the
Yeah, I
issue,
was
of
gonna
course,
say
because
that
it's
father should have been
yeah,
like, dude, seriously, you're leaving your kid to Bruce Wayne for
right,
real?
yeah. So it's like this kid moves into Wayne Manor and like he's like a little shit. He's messing with everything, and then he winds up being killed off. And it's like they put like a little statue of him in the garden. It's like how great is that? I think it was Bob Haney.
Mm-hmm.
Almost definitely was Bob Haney. But just silly stuff like that. And I'm surprised a writer hasn't gone back and like combed through Bob Haney's work and just started bringing stuff
Yeah.
up. It's like, oh, Batman's other son. Let's do it.
Well, it's
You know.
pretty amazing that. Okay, all right. So if you love comics, you dig comics, you get it. That was the era. right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can appreciate it for when it existed, when it was, what it
Mm-hmm.
was. But if a comic
Yep.
did that today, you'd be infuriated, pissed off. It'd be trash.
Oh
Like,
boy, could you imagine if like Bruce Wayne had another kid introduced
yeah, and
today?
then it was just gone the next issue. No, it
Yep.
never
Yep.
to be brought up again unless someone
Never,
thought
ever
they were
again.
being really really clever and like Grant
Yep.
Morrison out of nowhere is like, oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Do you
There you go,
remember
Damien.
Noah Nog?
The
Who? Yeah.
Zuranog, yeah,
Here we
Zuranog.
go. Yeah. Right.
And do you remember that? What the hell was it? It's this thing here. This one. Yeah, the Son of the Demon.
Ah.
It's like, oh, there's Damien. Or a version of
Yeah.
Damien. Yeah. Weird stuff.
Well, I've never read it, but the son of Superman, I believe that was Elseworlds as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people like, hey man, this is the first appearance of like his kid. Like, and I'm thinking, well, no, because if you went back to like the Silver Age and stuff, there were times
I'm sure he had 17
they had like
kids.
imaginary stories, and so technically that would be the first
course.
appearance of the kid. But people like trying to capitalize on that. You know how I cannot.
The first Justice League Dark.
Oh, you just read my mind. Because I'm like, that stuff just rubs me raw each and every time. But it made me think of it when you're like, well, this is the first Damien, right?
Yep.
Come on now.
Yep. It's like Uncanny X-Men 201, the first Cable, because he was the baby.
Oh, hello. All right. Do you have anything more to talk about with Reeds, or you want to get into some ephemera, or?
Do ephemera. I got a couple little pieces here, so hit it up.
Okay, great. Let's. Well, I'm going to lead it off because I actually have a piece of ephemera because I went. I mentioned going on a hunt with my good pal Bada.
Mm-hmm.
My brother from a different mother, and we hit up some antique malls. And we found this one that was like super, man. Like you went in third floor, it was like 80s lounge. Like if you walked into someone's basement in the 80s.
Wood paneling.
Dude, for real. Like
smelly carpet.
Like, yeah, Mork from Orc stuffed figures and stuff hanging on the wall, posters from like 80s movies and VHS tapes everywhere. It was great. Nice. Albeit brick and mortar. It was a little too expensive for a lot of the things, but I'm like, I can't walk out empty-handed. Yeah. So one thing I found, and it was $5, which is probably a little bit more than it's worth, but I didn't want to leave yet again without anything.
There you go.
Was this novelization, Superman: Last Son of Krypton, which I have yet to read. It is Magan who wrote it, Elliot S. Magan, right?
Why doesn't he have the exclamation point on the
Yeah,
S?
well, hey man. Here's the thing, though. It does.
Might be a different guy.
It's interesting because flipping through it, it's very yellow, which I like for paperbacks. But I don't know what's up with the story, but they talk about Oa and like Green Lanterns and stuff like this in here. So I really don't. It's.
Did they bring? Oh God, what's his name? Tomar Ray. Wasn't Tomar Ray Wasn't it revealed that Tomar Ray could have stopped the destruction of Krypton, but didn't? I think so.
I don't know if they dig in on this book. This is definitely trying to capitalize, of course, on the film.
Because it wouldn't surprise me if Magan was the one that wrote that issue, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it says, as the dying planet Krypton tears itself apart, Jor-El, Krypton's greatest scientist, launches a tiny interstellar ship into the frigid void of space, bearing in its hold his only child, the infant who will become Earth's Superman. From his childhood to Smallville to his emergence as Metropolis's new newsman, Clark Kent, through his battles with his archenemy Luthor and his story is told anew as never before, with all the high drama and excitement that have enthralled 3 generations of fans. And this is the first in Warner's new series of Superman's novels. So I guess maybe this would be like the, I don't know, backstory to the Superman movie we didn't know we needed. I'm gonna have to read it and get back to you, man, because it's not like it's gonna take me a long time. This is like one bout of indigestion. Read.
I just found the information here.
You don't need.
Elliot S. Magan did a backup story in Superman 257 with art by Dick Dillon and Giordano. We learned that Tomar Ray was nearing retirement, but the Guardians wanted to make him feel better about what he considered the biggest regret in his Green Lantern career. As it turned out, the Guardians had been keeping their eye on a Kryptonian child named Kal-El as a future Green Lantern Corps leader, When they noticed that Krypton was dealing with some major issues, they assigned Tomar-Re to covertly fix the problem since Kryptonians were standoffish to the people who tried to help them. So Magan did write that story.
Interesting. Because I'm in the chapter called Oa right now, and I don't see him referenced.
Huh.
And I'm not being very thorough. But anyway, yeah. Ephemera, cool, $5.
I love it.
Superman, you can't go wrong.
Cannot go wrong.
Okay.
Now, my ephemera is a little bit more current, or not current, but recent.
Okay, groovy.
This is back during my comics malaise during the summer, where it's like I didn't have any interest in buying anything comic related, but I saw this and it's like, yeah, I'll regret it if I don't.
Of course. What do you got?
And it was like $3. It's a sealed collection of DC postcards.
Oh yes. Yes.
Remember this cover gimmick they had back in, like, I think it was 1998, where they just, like, the cover was a giant face.
Yes.
And they're not all great. Actually, most of them are not at all great. But I guess DC also put out a collection of 12 postcards for $16 US back in the long ago. I mean, I got it for $3 and I don't regret it. But I haven't opened it yet either, so I don't know if I even need it.
Yes, you do. But you do, because I want you to open it, and up in that corner there is Norm Brayfogel's Electric Blue Superman, and you were to mail me that postcard. But I don't want you to send it as a typical postcard. I want you to bag and board it, and then send it to me.
There we go. But I thought this was
pretty is.
Never seen it before. Didn't know it existed, and it probably doesn't have much of a reason to exist, but I'm glad it does. Another piece of ephemera I got over this weekend. We were waiting for a table to open up at our favorite brunch place. And there's a record store across the street. We popped in there. Didn't really see anything I wanted. One of the weird things about my secular come to Jesus moments of late, I don't really have much wants. You know, the idea of digging through a bin, I'm not as ravenous or rabid about it anymore right now. So, I went through the bins and didn't really see anything. A couple of months ago, I would have bought, or several months ago, I would have bought a bunch of stuff. But this time, I just didn't really feel any need for it. On the way out, we walked past this table with a bunch of weird stuff on it, like flower pots and all sorts of nonsense. And the wife pointed this out. She's like, "Hey, isn't that a Green Lantern?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is." So, I think it was like $6. I'm sure it probably came with other stuff. I don't even know what it is. It's got a hole in the top. Maybe it's a flower.
Coffee mug?
Don't know. No, it's got a hole in the bottom.
Oh, bummer.
So I don't know. Maybe it's a flower.
I did notice that when you kind of like scrolled to the side to show me the pile of books. I was like, hey, he's got a lantern on his table.
Yeah, so wife pointed that out and convinced me to buy it. So there's that. So it's actually going to be, it sits on the shelf next to the Batman you sent me. So there's that. That's my ephemera.
Okay. I think I have one more, and I'm going to show it off just because, but I have you on the screen right now, full screen, because I need to stand up to get it. Oh, okay. Making noises. I don't want to.
The chair ain't squeaking, though.
No, it's my son's gamer chair. He got an Xbox for his birthday. He's got it made. He's got a chair. He's got a TV. He's got a game. Everything.
What more could a kid need?
Love, affection, which you don't get in my house.
Maybe.
You don't get that here. Tough noogies.
Yeah.
That's right. You get the belt. That's what you get. All right. Now I'm sitting back down so no one has to see my keister. I can transition back to... All right. Dude, I love Dan Mora. Now, here's the other thing. I've gone on about it, but over the last few months, I have acquired a lot more plastic. I'm not going to show off everything right now, but this arrived yesterday, and I'm in love with it because this design, every fiber of my being screams yes. So therefore, I have to own, whether it's a McFarlane or Funko Pop, in this case, a Funko Pop of the Fusion for the Batman, Superman, debuted in World's Finest, Green Lantern as well.
How about that?
And in Absolute Power, where they debuted an evil version of this character already.
I think so.
Called Confusion with a K. You might want to workshop that a little bit. But yes, this just arrived. I'm very happy, and there's not much to it. This Funko.
Mm-hmm.
The McFarlane is much superior as far as detail and design. Actually, I got that
Gotcha.
right down here. I don't need to get up to get it, so I can just twirl. And I actually have two of these. One loose for display, and the other I kept in the box.
There
So
you
I'll
go.
just show you the one in the box.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I love this character. I love looking at it. I think it's awesome. And for other McFarlane collectors out there, you might be saying, dude, that's a cop-out. Because that's essentially, they took the Speeding Bullets figure and just repainted it. Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
But I needed this. This is mine. I own it, and I love it.
Welcome to action figures.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they do.
Yeah, all the people out there that were doing something called kit bashing. For the that's when they were taking figs and reassembling them and building whatever they wanted. So okay, I'm not going to go too far into this because I'm the furthest thing from an expert. But a lot of times, like toy companies, what they would do is repurpose figures for different things. Like, I forget which line it was, but for example, if they had something from, okay, we had Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves figures, but we need something now for The Hobbit. Well, we have this little guy, let's repaint him, use him for whatever. But fans would be doing that on their own. They'd remove heads and body parts and kind of kit bash, and that's what that meant. Like, making your own figure out of bits and pieces of other ones and stuff. You know, other people get more creative with it and use glue and epoxy and different putties and kind of get more fancy with it. But McFarlane, man, there's quite a few figs in my collection where I'm like, hey, they've used this body 6 times.
Body, yeah.
They just slapped a shield on it or repainted it this way or whatever, you know. So
I remember with the old X-Men figures, like there was a Rogue figure, and it was the whole figure. They just painted the outfit blue and painted the hair green, and it was Polaris. And it's like, and then they did it with I think they made it also Jean Grey, and then they also made that same one Psylocke. It's like, what is this? Is ridiculous. You have to stand next to each other. It's like, come on, ridiculous.
You can't do that to the same degree now because you need more face like articulation and stuff.
Yeah. No, they were the same faces too. It was wild.
Yeah. But they will do that for Superman figures. Like, I know in particular there was the Action 1000 figure, right? That face, that design, they've reissued it a couple times, but most recently, Walmart exclusive. And the difference is, instead of having a plastic cape, now it has a cloth cape.
Fabric?
Yes.
Gotcha.
But you can, like, pose it, which is kind of cool. It's like I got a Superman statue here, the Jim Lee Superman statue, and you can, because it does have wire in the cape, you can kind of position it to...
You can mold it.
It's kind of neat.
That the Azzarello series story?
Yes.
Broken City? No, not Broken City. I don't remember what it was called.
Oh. Sorry, interestingly enough, I just texted my wife. She's like, are you still doing YouTube? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, are you watching right now? I'm very sexy. And I'm looking at my watch because she texted back. She's like, I'm not watching, but I know you are very sexy.
Hey.
That's why I married you. Proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Wired cape or not, I am a sexy bee. Hello.
True.
Yeah. So there's your action figure minute. But yeah, this one, so prices can get a little ridiculous on stupid things, as we all know, being collectors. And this one was a San Diego Comic-Con convention limited edition. And
okay.
I think the cheapest I saw it was like $30 or something. But I'm the master of eBay, and I wanted it, and I needed to have it. And I found a guy, this one has some slight damage on the box.
Okay.
And I won't tell you my method because I don't want people copying my method, but it does involve some patented Dave communication, and I whittled this guy down to an amount that you would not believe. I'll tell you off air. And you'd be like, dude, seriously, that's how much you got it for? And be like, yeah. So yeah, this ephemera. That's ephemera.
I love it. I love it.
All right, man. What else you got? I'm going to say the word cooking in particular because I do need to go soon because my son is home today. He's getting hungry, and he wants my mac and cheese, to which is a tried and true recipe I've been making now for over 20 years. Which I should put a little backstory into this because I know you're interested.
Hit it up. I am hugely
and I am
interested. Macaroni and cheese is part
I'm
of my
going to give the recipe. I'm going to let everybody know what's up. Have I ever done this on Bada Bin before, given this recipe?
I don't
All
think
right,
so.
great.
No, this is new to everybody.
Right. Buckle up,
me.
Buttercup. So when I lived in Portland, Maine, I was 18 years old, and one of my roommates was like, "Hey man, you ever try schlop?" I'm like, "Nope, doesn't sound very good, but I got no money. I can't afford real food. What's crack-a-lacking, guy? Do it." And he was like, "All right, so you take your mac and cheese, whatever generic crack mac and cheese.
That's
You boil it like you normally would, but here's where the trick comes in. Instead of draining it and using butter or milk with the powder, use cream of chicken soup. So you mix it all in with cream of chicken, and then what you do is you need a can of tuna, solid white albacore, in water. You don't want any chunk light. Fact of the matter is, if you're the kind of person that eats chunk light tuna, I don't even want you watching this show. You don't deserve
no gray meat,
dude. Like, for real. I don't know how can anybody eat that. Anyway, you mince that up. I am imitating the action of taking a fork because I'm not very fancy. You mince that up. You put that in there.
Bust that up.
You mix it all in, and then for accoutrement, for a little extra, if you're into it, peas. Get a can of peas, drain that, put that in there, biggity bam, biggity boom. You get yourself a meal, stick to your ribs, and back then it was like $2. Now it's more like 20.
Sure.
But anyway, no, I'm kidding.
At least.
I'm kidding. It's still like under a few dollars, especially if you're buying like generic stuff, you know.
Well, that white tuna is like $3 a can.
Yeah, I think it's a couple bucks a can at least, unless you want to go Goya oh boya. But yeah, but let me tell you, like, it sounds simple, and I explained it like super fast. And really, it's not like one of those recipes where it's like, you must cook this to 300 degrees for 48 minutes. Everybody knows how to make mac and cheese, I assume, unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Don't make me sing the theme song again. So that's all you need to know. It's just the mixing process and what you're putting in there rather than milk and butter, you know? But dude, I'm telling you, and my kid loves it. That's what he wants this afternoon. He's like, "Dad, can you make your mac and cheese?" Hell yeah, I can. Plus, it's so low effort. I put some water to boil. I do my things. I come back, biggity bam, biggity boom.
You dump.
You got a meal. You got a meal, baby. And you're full, you know?
I believe.
You got a recipe that you can battle me with to like, say I got something better than your ghetto mac and cheese, or no?
I make mac and cheese in a slow cooker.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I'm gonna have that. We added that to Thanksgiving last year, and everybody went nuts for it.
Oh,
so I'll be making that in a couple.
How long does that take?
Couple hours.
See, you already lost.
Yeah. But it's.
I'm sure it tastes great.
Oh, with some buttered breadcrumbs on it, some bacon bits.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You know, you told me about this freeze-dried candy thing. And you're the first person who mentioned it to me, and now it's apparently sweeping the nation because I can't. People won't shut up about frozen candy. So maybe you can clarify and explain to me what makes this candy that much better than just pouring Skittles in my hand and eating them regular, al dente.
It's about mouthfeel. It's very like. It's not so much chalky and gritty, but it's kind of chalky and gritty. It's an experience.
Mouthfeel. Did you pick that up when you were spending time in prison?
Yeah. And that was throat feel.
Ah, that's what that was. All right.
Yeah.
I just called candy. You can eat it al dente. But that's where we are. That's 2024 for you.
That's us.
You know?
That's the world we live in. So it's just
texture.
We're living in a world where Jim from The Office is the sexiest man alive.
I heard about that.
There are no rules anymore.
I saw it this morning.
There are no rules anymore.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
With a schnoz like that.
I saw it in the doctor's office yesterday.
Oh, okay. That was part of... Really? So, wait. You saw it in the doctor's office, not in a magazine?
No, and there was like the free streaming
on
the TV at the doctor's in the waiting room. And it's like, wait, Jim from The Office?
Yeah, I was going to say, if that was a magazine, it would have been like, he would have been the sexiest man alive in 2016.
Yeah, and then like Yale is teaching a class on Beyonce. I found out there too. So it's like, wow, the world's over.
Man.
Yeah.
You don't know everything about Beyonce yet that you needed to know?
Yeah. No, it's, I guess light them if you got them. Yeah.
Hey man, rock and roll, hoochie coo.
We're living on the edge of a lightning bolt.
Right, right. Exactly. You got to any reading you're gonna do today or anything? I know I have a few books I want to get back into before I get domesticated.
Nothing really planned. A lot of my reading has been about comfort food. So I've been reading like the Essential X-Men, like the post giant size stuff. Just I don't know, just getting back into old times and comfort. And I keep getting a wild hair about rereading some of the new Titans from back in the long ago, and it's just a matter of actually putting the energy toward doing it.
So no Hawk and Dove on the docket for today.
I'm sure if I walk past the pile over there and one of them catches my eye, I'll snag it and maybe sit down for a few minutes. But it's such a boring book, but it's so comfortable. That's a lot of post-crisis DC is that way for me. Like the Power of the Atom stuff. It's like, this is dull.
Yeah.
But I like it.
It's funny you should say boring, because something I need to finish today is the latest issue of the Savage Sword of Conan. And I tried reading it before bed the other night, and like it was one of those moments where you had one eyeball going up, the other eyeball going down. No. And coincidentally, it's written by Jason Aaron. And it's
not Zub anymore?
Zub does the main book, and he has contributed to Savage Sword of Conan, but in many ways it's like Superman Superstars, where they're doing like different
little
creatives
little arcs,
issues, giving them their run on that. And Jason Aaron does a decent Conan, but man, like it was so wordy and going on forever. And I was like, oh, it's almost done. I'm going to jump into another chapter written by somebody else. And it was like, Act 2. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, boy. Refuse
Yeah, dude. I had like the googly eyes going on. And I'm like, I'm putting this down. And the thing that sucks is because I've mentioned, like, they nailed the assignment. They got it right with the newest version of Savage Sword. Like, it's perfect. The black and white newsprint, everything, you know, and just, it's been very enjoyable. But this Jason Aaron story, man, it was... put me down, come back later, because, dude...
Need a running start.
Yeah, totally, because otherwise they would have been like, my wife probably would have called an ambulance if I kept going with that. I'd have been laying there with the book on top of me, and yet again, the eyeballs pointing south and north, you know, just like, what happened to this guy? Oh, he savage sworded it.
He did.
Don't you know you can never do that before bed? This man's a maniac. You know? But anyway. I do have to go make that mac and cheese. Unless you have anything else you want to say to the Badabinians out there. Did you... Actually, real quick, did you want to do a Bada Babble or anything? Or you just want to save that for next time?
Yeah, we'll save that for next time.
Great idea.
I think that's a good idea. Because we do have a 12-year-old letter from our friend Chris Yu that we have to attend to eventually.
And I got to feed a 12-year-old.
Maybe we'll have two.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
He's going to make that mac and cheese.
This book came out on your son's birthday. The date of his birth. This is when we got that letter.
Really? October 20th?
So, yeah, 12 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
2012.
Oh, okay. There we go. I was taking it quite seriously. Like, we got that email like this year on October?
No. It was, I think it was July. Let's see here. It was dated August 12th. So, a long time.
Yeah. All right, we should do this more often. We should consider this as a long-running show. That's what we should do.
Yeah, this is season 2, or we could do we talked off the air about doing the Quantum and Woody.
Yes.
It's like we'll just make this will be episode 38.
This is a reunion show. This is
It is. This is old home day.
I was gonna say, I gotta go make the mac and cheese, but before I do want to mention, just because it's on the top of my mind. I was trying to explain to my wife the other night, like the best reunion show ever done wasn't technically a reunion show. It's season 7 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Seinfeld reunion.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, I'd be interested in seeing that. I really want to watch that because she likes Seinfeld now and stuff. I'm like, okay. And I've already watched it a couple times. So I started watching the first couple episodes with her, and then I got up and did something, and I came back, and she's watching Bones or something else instead. I'm like, what happened? She's like, it was just too much Larry David for me. She's like, I needed a break.
Oh.
He's such a bastard. He's such a prick. I needed a little time away. I'm going to watch more later. And I thought to myself, I could...
Need a running start?
Yeah, but I was like, I can't get enough of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Hell, I'm watching this season for like the third time in, however long.
I still haven't watched the last one yet because I'm afraid to let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, I like me some Larry David, but for other people, it's acquired taste,
sure.
you know?
I could definitely see why he might be a hard sell
Yeah.
to some, for sure.
She was fatigued. Yeah. She definitely needed, Bones. Have you ever seen the show Bones?
No.
Yeah, it's not the highest achievement of artistic television ever made, but
yeah, I don't.
What do I know?
They're like forensic people or something, or
Forensics is too much for me. I like my crime shows with Jessica Fletcher.
Surface
just
level.
rolling in.
Murder She Wrote.
Yeah, Murder She. I love Murder She Wrote. Just rolling in.
Murder She Did.
And everybody confesses their crime by the end of the episode without a lawyer present. Yep. Damn it, you got me. Here's my confession.
Done deal.
So yeah. All right, man. Do you want?
I'll put myself in.
Yeah. You're right. All right. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the masses before we hit the road?
No, but if anybody wants to see another good reunion show, the very short revival of Party Down. Did you ever watch Party Down? I did.
I enjoyed the first go around of that.
Yeah, they did a six episode, like current day follow up to it, and it was a lot of fun.
Okay, Soup and Crackers, right? It was what's his name? The guy from the state, Ken something. He was.
Yeah, and the dude from Parks and Rec, and Severance or whatever it is on Apple TV.
Okay.
The hell's his name? I don't remember his name, but really good stuff.
All right, groovy. You gonna watch The Penguin? The Penguin on HBO Max. You gonna watch The Penguin? Probably I knew it. Not. I was just waiting for that. Just absolutely not. No.
I've changed, but not.
Hey man, I'll take it if you read some Saga. You know what I mean? I'm down for that.
No, I've got it on the shelf right there, the first volume. So I'll give it a go.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to tune in today.
Yeah.
You rule. Virtual hugs for each and every one of you. Special
Absolutely.
Stuff. And me and Chris want to keep this going on. So hopefully we will see you soon.
Hopefully.
Right on. And then Chris, say bye-bye. Say adios. Say see you later. Auf Wiedersehen.